I feel like any of the EU teams any of the top 10 EU teams could beat any NA team at any map, on any map with anything. I just don't see a
We love
world.
hot takes. We love
It's
hot
just
takes.
like well, it's about brain and aim, right? So do we go for the brain or do we go for the aim?
Let-
But we also have Scream, who is brain and aim. So like, I don't know what you're gonna do
Right.
against that.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's our birthday and we'll rant if we want to. Welcome back to this anniversary edition of VALORANTing. I'm Mitch Leslie here, joined by Vansilli, and once again, gracing us with their presence is Yinsu Collins. We finally have a Twitter handle that is actually the name of the show. At VALORANTing now, we must have paid big bucks to some sort of Twitter name squatter to get that one, but lo and behold, we have it. Of course, youtube.com/VALORANTing. It's only taken us a year to get our socials sorted out, but thank God we've managed to do that. Vansilli, mate, you've been busy, obviously, with the offline TV charity tournament. How you been?
Been good, man. After that one, super fun weekend, actually. After casting that weekend, it felt like I was actually casting some real matches. It was like a Nursery Gamers VCT. We got some skilled players in the offline TV crew. And after that, I tried to do the Syyko thing, you know, try to catch up to VODs. And then I'm fucking dead. I don't know how to fucking does it. So I'm doing as best as it can be.
Listen, I've told you how he does it. I mean, he's a very unique set of circumstances, i.e. a really understanding partner and no responsibilities whatsoever that allow him to do that. Yinsu, great to have you with us. Europe's obviously been very busy. There's tons going on there, of course, as you know, we're hurtling towards our sort of final EMEA qualifiers for Reykjavik.
I cannot wait. Also, I have my tea. Just letting you guys know. I don't know if you saw my tea before we went on air, but I have my tea here, so I am happy. And I'm very happy about Europe as well at the moment. But what I'm not happy about, which we will get onto, is that only 2 of our teams get to go. We need more.
Yeah, we are.
We need more.
Silly. We are going to dig into that topic, obviously, because we've kind of touched on it on the show, but now we kind of have you here to add some context for us. But today, a lot to talk about. First of all, we're talking about Cloud9's roster moves. Then we're going to talk about the VCT EU, just as Yinsu was alluded to. We're going to meet with XSET coach Syyko to get some insights on how that team has just really come into form lately. We'll talk about VCT NA. And finally, we will get to look back and reflect on a fantastic year of VALORANTing. Yeah, you got to love the stock reaction photos. See, this is what happens when you send in stock reaction photos.
What is that shirt?
Vansilli, I don't think. Yeah, it's fish. It's fish.
Oh, I thought it was blood.
So far, yeah,
it's
I
fish.
thought it looks like blood.
Does it?
It's fish. It's fish. It's fish. But also, like, I'm happy it's only like a few
Okay, I
pictures that
see
they
it. I
have,
see
so...
it. I see it. I see it now, but at first glance, I'm like, that looks like you've been mugged.
They're goldfish.
Sure. I live in Irvine. I'm Gucci. No one's mugging me out here. I'm safe. All right, so let's move straight on here. Okay. First of all, our developer con segment, always kind of the cornerstone of the show, because this is where we try and help signal boost some of what we're hearing directly from the devs. And I thought what was pretty interesting that they've talked about recently is how Masters works, right? Because every day I'm on the subreddit and people are asking how do people qualify, right? What's the how do people get to Masters? So there's a lot of information that they've sort of talked about here. They have a point structure. So they believe that sort of balancing the points is important. The championship points. So this here is, here's the championship points so far. So let's just pause on this for just a second, because this here, VCT points. Now you need to earn them to sort of. Now this is to get into Masters, or this is from Masters, right? This is to get.
This is from Masters.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's insane.
You need to get into Masters to earn VCT points that count towards getting champions later on. If you don't get into Masters, you're fucked. You don't get any points. That's why, like, look at EMEA. This is a fuck fest. So, obviously, EMEA is a melting pot of regions. It's one of the founding notions that the European Union was built on. Frankly, yeah, you guys just like you can deal with the reality of being a union of countries, but.
I don't have to deal with that. Brexit is Brexit, mate.
Oh, true. Yeah, true. I bet you're chuffed, mate. I bet you're absolutely
not at all.
So
get me out anyway.
This is. We love a bit of Bojo, don't we? Really. But this is our standings as it stands. So know that obviously some of these regions are simpler, but because EMEA had they had multiple sort of sub regions in Europe for Masters. The complex part is that for Reykjavik, that is not the case. Europe needs to again go through yet another sort of process of whittling down their teams, as do all the regions, because this is a global Masters event. The previous one was a regional Masters, so that means that way less teams have the option to accrue points for champions here.
Honestly, though, I kind of get it where EMA is like kind of fucked, but I think it's just normal, mate. You have to normal, mate. It's normal, mate. You just
mate. Yeah.
What was that?
She'll be right.
I don't know,
She'll be
man.
right.
I don't know why it just like slipped out of the tongue like that. My apologies. I was gonna say normal man, and then it just came out like mate. But anyways, there was only 10 teams that are allowed, right, to play into the Masters 2, where I'm pretty sure Masters 1 and Masters 2, as it was intended to be international, and potentially probably about 16 teams, they would have been like better regionals probably for EMA. So I think due to the fact that because of COVID and what they're allowed to do, they were only able to bring in 10 teams, so it makes it a little bit rough. And it makes the point system a little bit rough at the same time, too, where, you know what, let's just be happy that we got the Masters and we got an international land, finally, and then we'll see what happens next year when everything's back to normal, fucking hopefully.
From my
Vansilli,
understanding,
you're the horse that gets hit with a riding crop and is thankful to get like a little bit of fucking like oats in
It's
the
like,
bag.
I
oh, there's
like
a little
that,
bit of hay
though,
that fell from
yeah.
the barrel, and I'll take it, I'll bring it home to my family. I'll take everything I can get.
It's the gratitude. It's the gratitude. I mean, I'm in agreement with you, but from my understanding, the points for Masters 2 for Iceland is going to be more than Masters 1. So if you get 100
Yes,
points for
okay.
winning Masters 1, for winning Iceland, you're going to get a lot more, which kind of leads me to think, how much is 100 points, like what is the line? What is the standard that we're looking to? Like, is that a lot?
It's like NFT and crypto. It's still like just a number floating out there. Yeah.
Okay, so explain this to me then. So theoretically, is Masters supposed to be global all the time?
Yes.
With the exception of this first one. Right.
Yeah.
So in the future, there will be opportunities, but they'll all be global Masters. So like,
Correct.
we've got to set expectations here because way more teams have been exposed to Masters gameplay than they actually should have been or that they had planned to be.
Yes.
So for a lot of teams, it'll be really hard to catch up to teams, I think, in Masters 2 that actually, come away with these big circuit points, right? Because you won't have like teams like 10 points. You won't have like the 8th place team in NA getting points. You have to be now top 2 in NA to accrue these points, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And,
it's a lot worse in
the
EU. Yeah.
The light at the end of the tunnel, at least for like how crazy it is right now for Europe with the amount of points and teams and stuff like that too, is that at least Masters 3 is the winner of that goes straight into Champions. So even more important there for EMA to try to win Masters 3.
I have a question when it comes to
just
that.
like isn't Champions just a more hyped Masters then? So because Masters is
Worlds,
global,
yeah.
it's but Masters already kind of is, right? Like what Masters is what? How many slots from each region? For most of them, it's like 2.
Yeah,
Two,
so
but for
NA's
EU, for Champions is 5 slots from EU, including last chance qualifier. But my question is, so okay, we have 4 slots for Champions as it stands.
Yes.
I truly believe that's going to change at some point. I don't think it's going to stay that way. But anyway, let's just keep to the formula. There's 4 spots when it comes to EMEA, and the 5th spot comes in from the last chance qualifiers.
Yes.
So what happens if a European team, EMEA team, wins Masters 3? Does that mean Europe still has 4 spots plus last chance qualifier? Or does winning Masters 3 then take one of those 4 slots?
There's no way they'd do that.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no
what
way
I
they'd
mean.
renege
So
on
what
that.
does that mean? Because if an EMEA team wins Masters 3, it's like in the Champions League, I don't know if you guys are into your football, but in the Champions League, like if you're... If the team from the Premier League wins the Europa League somehow and
Liverpool.
they get into the Champions League, but if they're outside the top 4,
Vietnam.
one of those spots kind of like trickles down to the next team. So for example, in EU, let's say we have 5 teams that are already kind of like points wise, they're going to qualify for Champions. But then one of those teams wins EMEA. Does that mean the 6th team then gets that slot? Does that make sense? Like, do we then have 6 teams at Champions? That's what I want to know.
Imagine typing "Yikes Liverpool" in the chat. Oh my god, dude! Like, such short memories. Are we forgetting the fucking Champions League victory and the Premier League and having the most points in the Premier League? Shut up, chat. All right,
But
Jesus.
I think
fucking
at some
set
point
people
the
off.
most
Y'all just fucking mad that we're the greatest football club in the world.
Is it?
right?
Isn't at some point like
Play mad.
as many points you can? The English Premier League doesn't matter anymore. That this franchising thing's going
Oh,
on?
the Super League. Oh, that's a whole.
Don't get me started. Don't.
Yinsu,
Okay,
does your thing
You do
like,
not want me to start. You do not want me to start. I ranted about this a lot yesterday. It has upset my being as a human.
It really fucks up the balance. And like I said, as a Liverpool fan, that like knowing that my club was just like, fuck yeah, let's do this, and knowing that there could be sanctions from FIFA and from the Premier League and stuff like that, I'm thinking, fuck me, like, am I ever going to get to see like Liverpool destroy Everton again? You know what I mean? Like, that, what happens to their fucking derby now, or like a multitude of whatever. You know what?
How about the bunch of Canadians in hockey, right? Hockey and Stanley
Oh,
Cup,
God.
Man, like with this COVID fucking season has been fucking rough for a lot of these players.
You might
right?
as well be speaking gibberish to me with that, honestly. But I mean, in short,
hockey.
Uber, fuck your club, fuck your team, fuck Liverpool for doing this to all of us, and yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Honestly, I'm not over the moon about how this has gone down. I would love to know the internals to it, but anyway, let's crack on here because like many great coaches like Jurgen Klopp, there are many in the Valorant world as well. They are finally getting coach slots. Woo! That is what's happening. It's official. They're coming to patch 2.08. It's an esport. We continue to be excited about the prospect of coaches playing the large role in matches. And if you look between the lines, it says, fuck you, Valve. We're going to do it the right way. And we're going to make people happy. So they're planning to provide more analytical tools in the future is quite fascinating because obviously, to a degree, Riot have allowed API access to, like a bunch of people to create tools and stuff for the game. Like Run It Back is one of those things. And I assume, it's all API linked for like websites like the Spike and stuff like that. And they get their stats. But what's important is that they reiterate that the coach and player relationship is important. So they make their stance very clear on. I think that coaches are an integral part of their system, which I mean is obviously, we use Counter-Strike as an example because these games are fundamentally quite similar. And I think this really highlights again the difference in not just approach, but the overall intent and vision between Valve and Riot when it comes to their attack shooters.
I think so. Like, okay, I'm super happy because coaches have been wanting for a long time, so I'm super happy for the coaches that they finally have it. But I think I still need some guidelines as to what's going to happen, like in these official matches and scrims and VCT. So like, already, if you're at Masters or you're playing the current VCT close qualifiers, the coaches could only speak at a certain time. So are we allowed to have them the officials? How are they going to regulate it when it's going to come into qualifier matches and close qualifiers when Riot's not going to be able to sit into every single channel and moderate all that? So I think some guidelines definitely will have to come out, and we'll wait for those too.
Okay, so I don't know if we still have this, but there was the section on casting and how casters are selected, which is of particular interest to the three of us. Do we still have that? Because Ryan brings it up in chat, and where there's good, there is also bad. Everything balance is what they say. But I'd like to address what was mentioned about that. Do we still have that, Ian?
We have it somewhere, but just really quickly on the coaches thing, I think it makes a difference whatever their guideline is going to be, because if you see in Europe, Ascend, who won Masters 1, had, they had an IGL coach, I believe, who was able to be the IGL in game, whereas in this qualifier, I believe that kind of wasn't allowed. So I don't think MBS was actually IGLing Ascend. And whether that had anything to do with them being knocked out really early, I don't know, but there's obviously something going on there. Oh, here it is.
So early on in Valorant, there's some broadcast teams. Okay, all right. Let's. Okay, here it is. Okay. This year, there's been a lot of discussion on how regional broadcasts select their casters. Whether, I mean, you've created this discussion, right? Early on in Valorant, some broadcast teams experimented with utilizing casters from regions that were geographically distant from the participating players and production hubs. This led to a large variance of audio delays. I'm sorry, that's the fucking tournament organizer's problem to deal with. Why is that why? Okay, like, you're policing this, but you aren't running these productions unless it's like First Strike, where you're very selective about your how you sort of choose your people or masters or whatever. But yeah, there can be audio delays involved. I mean, fuck, Christ, like, yeah. I mean, we on the Overwatch League, we have people in Korea, in Australia, and simultaneously in North America casting the games, the same fucking games. So yeah, it is hard.
Well, I was gonna say even Avril is doing, like, North American VCTs from Australia, and we didn't.
Yes,
I don't think there's
and you know
that
what
much of
Avril's
an
also
issue.
doing? He's doing Korean Overwatch League,
Yeah.
Chinese Overwatch League games.
Yeah.
So these delays were especially pronounced during live matches which involve casters hailing from different continents. For regional broadcasts, these are technical limitations that impact broadcast quality. Okay, here's the thing: if a tournament organizer wants to use casters from a different region, obviously it's their responsibility to ensure that the broadcast doesn't suffer as a result, and it is quite easy to sync this stuff up. Like me and Matt, like, you have delay issues even if people are in the same fucking building. And I know this for a fact because me and Matt were in the same apartment complex last year when we did COVID broadcasting for the Overwatch League. And we still had to run a number of sync tests where I would literally read the game clock for a minute. And then he would read the game clock for a minute. And then I would say 1, he would say 2, I would say 3, he would say 4. And then they would sync us up. They would actually apply delay to our audio signals. Now, usually audio drift is not a problem if the sample rate of your audio device, your interface is the same, if that lines up. There are some problems where you can get out of sync. But like there's a degree of like it's the same to deal with an audio delay with people in the same fucking house or complex and people across the world. The approach is honestly the same. Now, there are limitations. If the person's internet, if their upload isn't good enough, then yeah, that's a problem when they're trying to send their signal out to you. But listen, we're all using vMix now. We're all using Parsec. Like this is not complicated. And I don't really think I understand like tournament organizers wanting to reduce complexity, but I don't think this is that big a deal. And I don't really think it's a good enough excuse. I'm sorry, you guys are, whether it's freaks for you or whether it's nerd street gamers who never seem to have a fucking problem with that at all, or at least they managed to solve it, sort of publicly. I don't agree with this. This doesn't make any sense. You can't get away with this. You can't get away with this. It doesn't make sense. Right? Please make it make sense.
Yeah, I don't know if it has to do something with like just trying to see the infrastructure of testing things out and get ready for Masters 2. So there's always like things happening in the background as well. So I can play the devil's advocate on that one as well. But I gotta say, I do also echo the sentiment that it didn't sound too lagged when you have a duo of an American and an Australian, and I hold shift and Avril and doing VCTs, and it didn't look like it was hindering the broadcast that much. Even me, just with my connection with North America, and it's just my own connection issue that proves that problem. And I think it's on probably me to upgrade my internet to make sure that I have a good feed pulling out to Riot. So I think if it was maybe a prerequisite, I guess, for talent to be like, well, make sure you have a minimum of this to be able to broadcast onto an international broadcast for Riot, then make sure you follow that. But also you want to give a lot of chances for casters to make it out there, right? So you don't want to have like one duo already taking over the world and not allowing others that are aspiring to cast to get into it too.
Yeah, I can't speak for casting, but when I was hosting with Nerd Street Gamers, they gave me my first like quote unquote proper gig. I think that's probably the same with a lot of people in Valorant. Yeah. I didn't experience any problems myself, and it was really sad for me because obviously when the lot came in at the time, I didn't even know if I would be doing anything in EU. Like a few of my other colleagues, I'd say. But for me, it was sad because I did really want to do NA stuff, and I'm sure with VCT Game Changers, for example, I managed to do that because that wasn't region locked. That would actually be interesting to know why that specific event was opened up to a lot of other people. Like Ryan was on there as well, and so was Jess.
Because honestly, they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, they made an exception for that, which was great. So it'd be good to know the reason behind it.
My understanding is that Jess resides in Germany. Ryan is in
Jess is in Australia right now.
Yeah. Okay, I thought I saw something about her having to speak German or being a long way away from like home, so to speak. I thought at least for a time, but either way, that's even worse. Like, one hand is not talking to the other hand. Clearly, if you can fucking do it for Game Changers, and we know why. I mean, I think it was an important part of Game Changers that there was like a really quite diverse cast there, and people, with existing experience in the Valorant scene, and people maybe without that, but from other things, like it was a great mix of people on that broadcast, and they made it happen. You know what I mean? So you can't tell me you can't tell me you can't make that happen. So it's just not good enough as an excuse. Sorry, try again. Let's move on and talk about some of the roster moves that are happening, because it's been quite chaotic now because we're getting very, very close to Masters, and there are some teams that still want to try and get their ducks in a row for that last attempt. one of those teams that is in with a shot here. I mean, we'll talk about this one here. Yeah. So this is Cookie Koalas that have been signed, which is great. That's obviously good news. We don't know anything about who they've been signed by now, but I think like they really the Bucky meta is definitely where they thrive, suffice to say. But you know, they've proven themselves as sort of, you know, true competitors. So I'm looking forward to seeing who this is that has picked them up.
Look, if it doesn't work out that the Bucky meta has been nerfed, at least Screwface could use the Judge meta, right? So I think it's still gonna look pretty good. Cookie Koalas has been one of those teams that were like kind of like the MR team when they're like on the uprising, or even Slimy Boogerman. And unfortunately, like those teams that got so much hype around the VCTs never really had ears on them and being like, okay, well, we're in talks with certain organizations to get signed. So I'm really happy for Cookie Koalas to be able to get that opportunity, and that timing was perfect, right? Sometimes in esports, it also comes down to being at the right place at the right time. And they're doing pretty decently, right? They're still in the top 30s, I think, of VLR and the Spike. So they're a good competition in a tier 2 scene for North America, and we'll have to see the impact later on with their support.
I love the contrast, because in Europe right now, like, you gotta be probably top 5, like top 10 is not good enough at the moment to get signed. Like Opportunists were like number 2, number 3 for a long time before they ended up getting signed by Team BDS, and even then, like, they were literally the second best team in Europe that was at the time not signed. There's a bunch of teams in Europe that disbanded actually right after VCT because they didn't get picked up. I think Honk is still together, but Honk, I feel like if they were in North America, probably would be signed by now.
No way. Stop discrediting the skill set of North America at this point, man.
No, not because of that, because you guys actually sign teams.
Okay.
We don't sign teams. Yeah.
What was the gunshot in Europe?
I just woke up, Yinsu. I'm not ready to fucking put my boxing gloves on.
Wait, isn't it 2 p.m. where you are?
Yeah, listen, like, I'm trying to do a sideshow shit. I can't do this. I don't know how he does it.
I can't wait to see what happens when your wife is actually there with you. Like, there's no way you're getting away with this, mate. You better live it up while you can. I'm telling you right now.
Oh wait, I swear your wife is always raving as well, so it's just gonna be extra raving in your house.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. She puts me in place.
Yeah, I mean, I let her know that I've been trying to sort of fill her shoes in that regard, at least until she gets here. But all right, this next one. This is obviously kind of just bizarre in general, but we heard obviously this last week or so that Katie has left Cloud. Obviously there's more to this than we're going to be sort of delving into. I think we've dealt with some of these more complex issues on the show before, but this, to my understanding, has been quite heavily fleshed out. Obviously, that's a big loss for Cloud9 White in terms of the performance of this roster. As we see the tweet here is she's taking a break from her professional career, being offline during that time. So, I mean, listen, obviously the circle. Let's be honest, what she did was bizarre. If you want to find out about it, you can get that information. Just completely fucking hard. But speaking, I guess, to Cloud9 White here eventually as well, this is obviously, they were using 6-player roster here, but this definitely seems to hit them pretty hard.
Yeah, unfortunately, another situation where we had a hype around like a 6-player roster, and it's like, okay, it works, it kind of doesn't work. I felt like for C9 White, it was a roster that it does work for, right? But I think it could still work out when they're running their roster with Katie and Jazzikins. They have school obligations or whatnot, but I think depending on the maps, it's looking pretty good for them. If they're participating in game changers, not sure what the circuit's going to look like now. I guess school season's like almost done, if I could call it a season. Summertime's coming. I mean, if you're going to take breaks during the summertime, they could at least be a little bit more involved too in those. So I think they're going to still be in a very good place, because with or without Katie, there was still that #1 women's team in North America.
Yeah. You know, I don't think we're not trying to really be dishonest by not going into detail about the circumstances around it being dropped, because I wouldn't say it's resolved. I don't think anything like this is ever really resolved, but I think we would rather not really drag the involved people sort of back into the spotlight again after sort of
rumor mills.
So I reiterate, you guys can find out about this. We just encourage you to try and make sure that you hear it from the correct people that are actually
Yeah, I think I am too. I think we're okay, but not okay.
It happened. Yeah, it happened to me as well. Oh no, I'm also gone. Ah, yeah, me too.
I think it was just it's just the internet in general. I mean, fuck. Maybe Riot has the right thing to actually stay local and like, you know, not get these.
Talking in support of regional lock and casters, PodChamp. So I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, you're back. You're
what
back.
That
You're
was. Sorry,
back.
chat. We'll try and
We're good.
yeah, it's kind of pooping itself for me still, but that's fine. But yeah, MR Black disbands. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think more it's about them being picked up by somebody else, right? Because I feel that there's this type of announcement is like, okay, I think there's opportunities right now for this team. They look pretty good as well during the game changers. I think they got second place, right, or third place, sorry, because they got upset back versus CLG Red.
Yeah.
But it was still a very, very good showing because technically, if you were looking at the performances of this team, they were the team that really made C9 White sweat. So if and somehow CLG Red was able to come back into the game because there was actually a long, I guess, another BO3 they had to play just before, right? So there was, and those went into overtime. That was against C9 White too. So it came down to the wire, and I still feel that they had the skill set for that. And when I look at MR Black's manager, he seems to, you know, really continue to want to bring in grassroots, and that's totally fine. He wants to help, I guess, up and coming, inspiring teams and players to get. So I think it's pretty cool what he's doing from at least what I read from the.
I hope they're going to get picked up, like you guys said. But I think the reality is still not just in that scene, but in general, is that 5 stacks just don't get picked up. Like signing
Rare.
a full team of 5 is so rare. It's so rare. In Europe, it's only ever happened one time with Fnatic signing someone FC, but even then they made roster changes after. So it's disheartening to see people split up, but if you have to split up to get signed, which is just the reality of the scene right now, you know, it's better that way than none of them getting signed in.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, this isn't really bad news, obviously. I think MR as an org are probably pretty used to sort of having players sort of poached. They're kind of starting to, no pun intended, they're starting to turn into like a little bit of.
I think but it was the issue we had this morning too. I think it was just VMix in general where we couldn't connect. So, man, another one like a caster curse when Uber goes, "Hey, don't worry, we got VMix, everything's well now," and then we're just fucked. But no, I think we're good. I think we're good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's good. It's a good thing I made my tea. I've got my tea, so I'm all right. Could be worse.
This is the. Also, by the way, like T-Spark, nice try, bro. But I mean, yeah, you're right. I think like T-Spark brings out, he gets Overwatch vibes from this. It kind of happened as well with a lot of like OW teams as well. They would like in contenders, they would like build up these players, and then like these like Overwatch League teams or top orgs would like just take them. And it's kind of a tough model for teams. Like it's hard to become an established name when you don't have the capital to sort of, you know, afford these players. But obviously, you know, that's not the case with every sort of roster change or every team getting picked up. So yeah. Staying on the Overwatch note for now, Soon has left the Overwatch League. His name is Terrence Tarlier, and he is a very good player. He was a world champion in Shoot Mania before transitioning over to Overwatch, which is Shoot Mania is like a arena shooter game, not unlike Quake. Exactly. There are already his two other teammates from Shoot Mania are already in Valorant, and they play on Entropic. So yeah, they also on OG, excuse me, play with Unco and AKM. So yeah, so this is interesting.
Okay.
You know, since 2016 he's been in Overwatch here, but he sort of says that he's sort of leaving for Valorant now. This guy was like a sniper player, played a bunch of Tracer as well. Definitely like, you know, there's plenty of players that have been able to make it happen in Overwatch without really a strong FPS background, because frankly, you don't always need to aim that much in that game. But Student was one of those players that played a lot of those high skill cap heroes. So I expect to see this guy to make some waves in Valorant.
Is he based in NA or Europe?
currently he's probably based in NA, but I imagine that he'll go back to France if he hasn't already done that. And he'll sort of play for, because I think he didn't get picked up for an Overwatch League team somehow, because he was involved in like the Immortals so Overwatch League team. They just fucked around with that brand and just really didn't do him any favors. I think Soon was initially on like Paris's roster after that, but yeah, he's peacing out. He didn't get a visa. That's right. Yeah, he didn't get a visa for NA, so
Yeah.
probably EU based.
Sooner or later we'll find out.
I'm just reconnecting.
Sooner or later we'll find out. I think at the same time.
Reconnect.
So chat, at the same time when everybody's frozen like this, right? So I could dance around like this. Do you hear them when they speak? Or is just me just being a clown, and then Uber is like, fuck, what is Vansilli doing? He never knows what the fuck he's talking about, and is like, fuck, I gotta deal with this right now. Actually, I have to deal with this to frozen image. Oh, he's back.
Yeah, listen, we're gonna get a break because we're gonna fix this out, sort this out, or fix it up one way or another. Because I keep freezing VMix, and that just ain't it, Chief. So we'll be back in a moment. Stick around, everybody. We'll get this on the road one way or another. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, we've managed to iron out some of the kinks in connections and such, and we'll sort of try to keep monitoring it for y'all and make sure it's okay. Anyway, we're talking about Soon. Moving over to Valorant. So we don't really know anything more about that outside of the fact that, I don't know, he could be good. I want to move on and talk about Relics leaving Cloud9 Blue, because that is some big news indeed.
Man, it sucks. I love my man Skylar, Skylar and I go way back, and been casting him. I mean, maybe that's the reason why. We've gone so far back casting Relics, and he's been playing and competing at the highest level that he can for the longest time, and never really took a break, right? As soon as CSGO was done, and started competing to Val, and now it's just like, well, I'm starting to burn out. So I hope for the best for Relics. I'm sure he's still going to be doing content creation for now with Cloud9, and I saw him. He's still playing some He's still playing some Apex. I actually want to play Apex with him. But at the same time, it also shows that after resting it, he's still open for options, right? So is it the same situation as Tens, where maybe it's not the same group of friends that he's playing with anymore, and that it's had a slight change of direction in how he envisioned the game to be played with 4 other players, and then unfortunately he's going to have to step down.
I think that's the effect the online era has a little bit as well, isn't it? You're not going to land, you're not traveling, you're not really experiencing all the perks of being a pro player, albeit you are getting paid to play professional video games. But I wonder if this situation will be a little bit different if we had LAN events.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that he sort of said, "Oh, I'm so pixelated. What the hell?" It's such a shame that that Relics would sort of leave, because he's the one who said he wanted to leave. I wonder if it had anything to do with the fact that he just wasn't in a position where he could play duelist on this team and that they could be successful. He had some good games, but generally, I think he was considered to be pretty streaky. And now with this new evolution of Cloud9's roster, with people like Leaf and stuff moving up into the duelist role, maybe he just found that he had reached his expiration date with this team on that role. Maybe he didn't want to be a sentinel player.
I do also remember, in the summertime, we were saying how we did enjoy seeing Relics as an Omen, and at some point he was even trying to IGL as an Omen, and he did pretty decent with that too. So I don't know necessarily if it's because he can't play a duelist. Of course he can, but I don't know. I think it's that group of friends. It's the Tensden friends are not friends anymore right now, or it's not the same group of friends playing in that same group. Only pretty much Relics and Mitch are left, and I'm sure we're gonna get to it right after. But now that they're gonna have potentially another 6-man roster, and we're speculating who's gonna be the one that could potentially be stepping down with these new players coming in, I probably wouldn't be surprised if it's Mitch, even if he's the new IGL for the team.
Right, because we know that, so obviously one of the remnants of Henry Greer's attempt at building a Colossus in Counter-Strike is Floppy, and he was announced to Cloud9 Blue's Valorant roster. Ironically, like so many players that come to see us from Valorant, there's always someone retweeting them saying how much they don't like Valorant, like a year plus ago. Just to be like, oh yeah, you didn't like this game, But I mean, that fucking says more about Counter-Strike than it does the person saying that they disliked Valorant a year ago.
Yeah.
So he joins, and also Zeppa joins his team. Zeppa was on Chaos with Leaf, right? I mean, we'll talk about Floppy first. So,
yeah.
I mean, Cloud9 obviously still looking to find a home for this guy, and definitely still have a lot of belief in Floppy as a competitor in tax shooters.
Again, I still think that it's like unfortunately for like C9, the recycling from like the CS:GO. Okay, CS:GO team stepping down. We still have these players on contract. What can we do? Maybe even potentially like the contract of Relics and Mitch could be at some point where it's going to expire soon. So let's bring in and Zeppa and Cloud9 when they potentially signed to be part of that Colossus for C9 CS:GO, and it didn't pan out. Zeppa's still on that contract because, as you mentioned, yes, he did play on Chaos, but at the same time, Zeppa did come into Cloud9 Blue 2 as like not necessarily a trial, but like the next prodigy to be built while Floppy was currently still in that roster. So overall, though, I don't think it's a bad move. I don't want to say that they're not skilled players and he won't be able to do well in Cloud9. I think the roster is still going to look very good on as these players switch over. Unfortunately for NACS and CS, it continues to crumble. But we're happy to take the players, man, over to Valorant. It's a fun game after all. You give it a year, people are coming back, people want to play. It's brought a lot of the boomers into play too. It's a fun game.
I firmly believe what this leaves for CS is this is a little bit of a a sidebar because we are talking about Valorant, but I think what's going to happen is it's going to be like football, where all of the best footballers, up and coming footballers, whether you're from North America or Brazil or anywhere else in the world, Africa, you want to play in Europe. You want to come to Europe to play football. You want to represent Real Madrid, Barcelona, maybe even Liverpool. So maybe we're going to see that in CSGO, where if you are an up-and-coming NA player in CSGO, you might have to just go to Europe if you want to compete at the top. So I feel like that is going to happen. I think Valorant is definitely a lot more healthy locally and regional wise, but where that leaves CSGO, I don't see a way where they do sort of get out of this right now. And I think it's weird how we're not surprised anymore by these names moving to Valorant, because I think if Zeppa and Leaf had moved like during the beta, I think it would have been big news. People would be like, these are CSGO prodigies, like why are they moving to Valorant? Whereas now it's like, oh, of course they're moving to Valorant. Like, can you blame them?
Yeah. Anybody that's currently leaving a CS:GO team is like, oh, they'll probably come to Valorant. Like Tark's another one right now for Team EG, right? Like content creation, trying to figure out options, but at the same time, it's like, oh, like the Reddit threads are going, which team can we speculate that Tark's going to join when he's going to switch over to Valorant? We don't know. He might still stay. You know, like we don't know exactly what's going to happen with these players.
I have to say though,
is he going to stay?
I'm watching the pundits in Counter-Strike get more and more angry about these players moving over. You know what I mean? Like they are fucking mad. It's sort of like, oh, like, you know, look at this, like often they're getting called out for laziness or lack of dedication, or it's like, oh, you're going to Valorant? Yeah, because you fucking can't win in Counter-Strike and you just want an easier challenge in the Babby's first tax shooter game or whatever. Like it's quite bizarre to sort of witness it all.
Maybe Counter-Strike is what they call it.
Yeah. It's kind of weird, champ, to me.
Their wages are also extortionate in CSGO. Like, if you want to sit around and wait for someone to come and pay you the wages you want to be paid in Counter-Strike in North America, I just don't think it's going to happen. Like, I don't think that is going to happen for a while. So for me, like, you really can't blame them. Yeah, I probably would switch too if I was a talented North American Counter-Strike player that's not on one of the
Mountain Dew League or fucking Masters. Shit.
Yeah, exactly. You can go to Iceland.
Yeah, like with all due respect to players like Sabrosa, Wardell, you know, a lot of the Cloud9 guys, like in Counter-Strike, like, you know, outside of, you know, your Koosters and your automatics, your Scars, like a lot of like Tier 2 American Counter-Strike is kind of dog shit. Like the prize money just wasn't really there. It was like a grind for a lot of these guys. They're looking at people in the ESL Pro League over in Europe and being like, fuck me, like this seems like way better. Like all the we get it. We got the Boston Major. No, sorry, my partner likes to sing opera to Griffin again.
I love it actually. I love it.
Yeah, seriously, it's just
bring up the game. I want to hear the opera.
Yeah, me too.
It'll get old. Trust me. Listen to it. Yeah, okay, so here you go. Here's a move in the other direction now. So version 1 obviously have really impressed many of us. They've stumbled a little bit lately, but they definitely have sort of had their coming of age story. But player 1 has departed this roster, which is odd considering that we're just really starting to make it happen.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a huge surprise, to be honest, man. I saw this like, what the hell is gonna happen? Like, we didn't hear any rumors of version 1 looking for a new type of player to come into the roster. They qualified. They look pretty good with like their Bucky meta as well with their half buys. But I've messaged player 1. I was like, yo, Kev, like, all the best, good luck, man. Like, sucks to see this. He's like, oh yeah, but it was like my decision. It was a team decision, and we mutually parted ways. Nothing wrong against the guys. Whatever is written here, like in his in this thread, is definitely true of what he told me in DM as well. It's just like you know, he wanted to step down, take a break, and then figure things out. I think it's the same thing with Relics too. So pretty cool for him. For version 1, they're gonna already have to try to find a version 2 and a player 2 to come into the roster.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about like. It's obviously player 1's obviously had a pretty decent stint in Valorant already. You know, competing with Gen G, and it was quite the campaign. It just seems odd to me now is that team is really starting to find their stride. But there's a lot of these decisions, actually. This is a good example of like a decision that, on the face of it, if you try and correlate a player's decision with the team's results, it doesn't really line up, right? This dissonance happens a ton in esports in general. And like, this is where a lot of punditry comes from, right? Because then people start inserting sort of reasoning and trying to figure this out. But
it's the same thing for Cloud9, because they are also still in the close qualifiers. They're in the regional finals to try to play in Masters, and you still have Relics that step down. So sometimes it does stem further than just trying to get to the competition, or even a drive to get to Iceland is not enough. It's just like they're trying to be happy before it deteriorates too much, and you got to respect those decisions as well.
So here's a really interesting topic that's kind of been dominating the conversation in NA for like the last week and a half or so. I want to say it starts with Tens, as many things do start with him. Tens makes a thread about his experience playing ranked. And he sort of says, look, I want an FPL. I want a pro 10 player hub so we can have pugs. And obviously he sort of tries to, this is his prospectus for his idea. He sort of says like, people are going to want to watch this stuff because, it is just a mix and mash of all their sort of favorite pro players that are interacting. And Tenz's issue here is, and this has been sort of echoed by other players that have said, when I play rank, people just essentially, this boils down to the average player in Radiant is bad. And there seems like there is a gulf between your average Radiant Immortal player and someone on a pro team that's scrimming regularly. It almost seems like, guys, it's a different game that these guys are playing. Like, this is, fuck me, Tens. Like, this is quite the thread, but he's, he really is trying to make a case for this, but he definitely is sort of saying that, he's just sick of, the ranked experience right now, and he wants a challenge.
Yeah. So you guys didn't already have this? Like, we in Europe, even during the beta, that existed in Europe. Like, that was really popular. And actually, Summon FC, who are now known as Fnatic, they sort of formed because they all met each other through kind of the Facer hub back in the beta and all the way through last year. It's not that active now, but I'm really surprised. Like, this never existed in South America. Like, you guys don't have that?
Well, no, I think it's more because, yes, there was a system like third parties and stuff like that. They were trying to do an FPL. Even like the Pittsburgh Knight had like the KVL too, but those were all shut down by Riot because it was like, hey, it was a system and stuff like that as well. So that kind of died out, and then everybody's just starting to play ranked right now. So even then, I think in terms of the competition, and you read that thread in the TED Talk from Tens, it stems out to the fact that it's not only about the competition too, but it's just the fact that some players are just not using microphones again, or some players are just not taking it in like into a match setting. So it's just like, you're fragging in, you're going in there just to play deathmatch on a 1st to 13 instead of just literally playing deathmatch instead.
And this is the whole reason why, like, I mean, to be fair, Steel could be fucked because his entire brand is built off him just molding at shitters in his Radiant games and just being like, why are you not communicating? Like, I think his biggest gripe is that people just aren't bothering to try and communicate. It's accurate to say that Riot sort of pushed this kind of idea out initially. I mean, I think it was something that people wanted in League of Legends as well. There's a few issues with this. First of all, like, it's a little bit more invasive for an API to actually be able to match make people. Essentially what FPL does is it does match make you with other people on that servers. Now, a matchmaking system, it could be argued, already exists in a game like Valorant. So But FPL, the thing that's important and the thing that sort of informs this whole discussion is that the pool of players that can even be on this system is limited fundamentally.
Right.
Now, this is so Nitro obviously sort of says, "Oh, it might be time to revive the 10-mans." This was a thing in Overwatch, and it actually happens in League of Legends right now. Captain Flowers actually makes a fucking killing casting in-houses.
Yeah.
10-mans, essentially.
He's great.
Motherfucker, he's got it made. He's got like 5K plus subs. All he does, mate, I'd love to be able to do this. He just fucking sits there and casts these 10-mans. And no one else is doing it. So he's just chilling. He's just fucking, he's dominating in the string game. It used to be a thing in Overwatch, and Blizzard outlawed it. And their reasoning was, it wasn't even a system that was being used. It wasn't even like something was hooking into the API, because the ESEA client was fucking mining bitcoins off people's computers. Like, there were problems. This is not even a joke.
Yeah.
That's not even a joke.
It wasn't a joke. That's
it
true.
literally fucking used your processing power to mine bitcoins.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So that was obviously a whole...
Respect the hustle.
Oh, absolutely. But fucking ESEA. The worst part was they were partnered with ESL at the time. And so the Pro League was the ESL ESEA Pro League. It was just a whole fuckfest. So obviously that's bad. Blizzard banned custom lobbies with pro players. They banned them from doing this because this is what was happening. They were just making custom lobbies. They just have like in-houses all night. And their rationale was all the pro players are now not playing ranked anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so the gulf in between the pro players and those playing ranked will grow wider. 10 sort of says that, you know, like these players in Radiant and Immortal can tune in and watch players and learn from these pugs. 10s, they're not fucking doing that. Don't be naive. They're still grinding in Radiant and fucking Immortal with the other shitters while you guys are off in Nirvana playing against each other, right? It doesn't work that way, trust me. So Blizzard was just like, nope. They made it so Overwatch League players could not queue with more than one other Overwatch League player. So, I mean, now they've obviously changed like top 500 and GM rankings. You can only duo queue, I think. You can't like stack. Yeah, there is no mechanism for that in Overwatch. They actually ban, if you're in the Overwatch League, there are limitations on how you can even queue for the game, which is fucking insane. So that's obviously, I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's probably like that's the heavier end of the spectrum in terms of stances on customs and 10-mans.
Yeah, no, I think the good news about it, at least for these custom 10, like I'll call them pickup lobbies right now too, for the professional scene, was that Roy or Strong Legs actually got the green light. Well, we got the green light. I was talking with Roy at the same time because we were in contact with Evermore, and we said, hey, can we actually like do these type of things with the pickups? Because Evermore was pretty vocal in talking to 10s and replying to say, hey, we are working on something right now, right? To make sure that the 5Q Radiants could actually queue together, but it's not necessarily going to address necessarily what 10s wants. So to summarize it, TLDR, we needed a pug system. We approached Riot. We asked them if it was all good. They said, yeah, it was totally fine as long as you don't make money out of it, you know, monetize it, and it's not like a business you're trying to do. We're like, no, we just want to grassroot it and get some Pro 10 some Pro 10 pickups going. So we got that, and then it just kind of like blew up left and right, as you probably see going through right now, the drama left and right from when Strong Legs started it to what happened a day later until him wanting to step down. So let's bring those up.
Don't
down.
paraphrase it. Yeah, you're talking us through this because you're one of the progenitors of this idea, Vance.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk about it. So then it comes down to Strong Legs now creates this 10-man this pickup server with myself. He already had one going. So when Yinsu, you were saying, hey, was there one that already existed? There was a Strong Legs one, and then that was on hold too because of what happened to KVL and what happened to Face It. So we weren't sure if we were able to do them anymore. So now that we got the green light, all systems go. Open up the valves, not Valve unfortunately because they don't listen to anybody, but they open up the riots, I guess, and then bring everybody in, and then let's get
bring
some
who
games
in?
Going.
Bring who in, Vansilli?
So players,
this is the important
exactly.
question.
So we're gonna get to that part. So the pro players will be at that point where it's going to be leveled at the top 25 based on VLR rankings. But the thing is with that right now is that there were already a couple of players already in there that aren't part of the top 25s, and then you're like trying to figure out who's allowed to come in, who's not allowed to come in, and it becomes pretty much like a gatekeeping high society kind of thing. And then it just didn't look too good from Strong's point of view when he was like the face in front of all of this, right? So Danny, as you just saw that tweet, it's like, well, yeah, it feels like everybody's just gatekeeping right now. We've had the same system going on in CS, and it's not going to be fair for anyone either. But in the end, that's where Roy decided to say, look, I can't deal with this pressure. I got a team to run. I got a team to IGL, and we got VCTs to try to qualify for. And then even then, it's like he's trying to defend himself. All that Roy wanted to do was to try to have some good competitions with the pickups. But unfortunately, there's still some individuals in the past that would have this. If, for example, right here, Benito's like, well, you kept me from actually getting into FPLC because of this gatekeeping shit. So it's like, Roy's like, okay, I'm not going to deal with this right now. And then naturally, I said, why the fuck not? I care about the players. I care about the community. I would be down to like try to grow this together and like be the face of it. I'll take the flack and whatnot. So there's still some left and right, and we're still trying to iron things out because who's allowed in, who's not allowed in. We're trying to just make things black and white in the guidelines. And if you're trying to be black and white in the guidelines, there's always going to be some gray zones too. And there's always going to be some players that are also not going to be happy about some decisions for whatever reason is made, right? Some will be very happy, some will be very mad. You're never going to get all good. You're always going to have some bad, as what Ryan Central was saying before. So I'm okay with that as well. We're trying to iron that out, but it's actually looking out pretty good. So despite all this drama that happened in like the 3 days and everything that's going through the Reddit thread, and everybody that's trying to bash on Roy or just a system in general has been actually pretty well received once we've had the conversations with the player as well, and the players and whatnot. So my idea with this now with the Discord is to make sure that it is ran by the players. So if you are actually in the top 20 based on VLR settings, you are getting into the system. Anybody who gets knocked down from the refreshing rankings will unfortunately go into another category, which let's call it tier 2 for now, where they could actually plug in that system as well. But it's still going to be limited, right? We're not going to invite everybody because we still want to make this like the elite for the elite, so they could actually play with the best players. So it's not open for all. What's cool though is sorry if I'm ranting a lot too, but I also wanted to grow this Discord, and Roy agreed with it as well to actually help out the aspiring casters and observers as well. For casters, I don't invite that many because there's just so much footage that exists right now. In for example, VCTs with no broadcasting right now, you could take that footage, you could practice it, right? You don't have to be live in a pickup to cast for your stream. But the good thing is for observers, they don't have that opportunity. There's so many events, you might be very nervous the first time you do it. It might be the one and done, and you're not going to be picked again. So this is a good place for observers to practice, get that footage. There's not going to be broadcasters on that. Upload that for the upcoming aspiring casters to get that so they could practice. So I think this is a great way to grow that as well. But just all together, we just want to grow the scene for even the professional players. In the end, it's a Discord for the pro players, and it's for them to get that going.
Here's some Riot thoughts on this one. Obviously, they're still trying to, they addressed this. I mean, Evermore addressed this issue. I think Hayes sort of was talking about it. They're looking for ways to 5-stacks can play together competitively. So obviously, he's not identical to what Tens wanted, and yeah, obviously, a few days later, he sort of says, like, well, yeah, obviously, I did say this. We're working on something. So I'm very curious to see how it works because the problem is that there always needs to be some arbitration, and the problem is if you're going to limit it in any way, there are always going to be people pissed off about it. Like, I'm sure Roy was getting a ton of flack in the DMs. I think even Mel confirms that in some tweets. Like, I saw this thread, a bunch of, with all due respect, a bunch of random fucking anime profile pictures, semi-pro Valorant players, like, yo, get us in, bro, yeah. Like, this is not for you at this time. The problem is that, Mel, some people haven't been told no, and it shows. I commend this initiative. I think that it's going to be a fucking ball ache to sort of arbitrate who is allowed to be in, like, Vans, you're already having to add substratum. Like, you're already telling me about a fucking tier 2 now. So people don't just why don't you just fucking kick them out the Discord, mate? Vote them off the island.
That's what I want to, but it becomes really complicated as well, because if I'm going to have to boot those people out, and then what happens if they get back into the top 20 like 2 weeks later, a month later. It's like, okay, come back in. Okay, get them out. Come back in.
You fucking bit off more than you can chew. Now you're gonna have guys in there that were lapsed top 20 players that are just fucking about. And
listen, Uber, there's some fucking guidelines that we're still playing. This is only day fucking 3. Give me some time to actually at least have the players a place to play, and at least the feedback that I've gotten for the players in the top 20 are still pretty happy, because at the same time, when you have this system going, for example, for those players that don't have a chance to get noticed, right? Because they're like, let's say they're big names, but they're still small streamers. This is a good opportunity right now. It's like, oh shit, Tens is playing like X person that's maybe not as known in a different team, and it adds a little bit more spotlight and more content to those 10 mens and those pickups for those tier 1 players, which is great. So fuck it, like let me fucking do it. I know I could do it. We're gonna take it day by day.
You can do it. You can. I mean, I think that's great. I don't know what you think, Yinsu, about this. It's because you guys have had this for a while.
Yeah, if Vansilli can get out of bed before 2 p.m., then maybe he can do it. But
that's true. That's true.
No, I think it's a great idea. But I also do think, like, if they're going to change the ranking system, it would be like League of Legends, right? You can queue flex queue or you can queue solo queue. So you just get 2 ranks. I don't think anyone is going to get upset about that.
No.
Right.
Like, sure.
Yeah. Sorry.
In the end, this system that's grassroots right now for everybody is cool, in the fact that we have at least something right now, so that Tens wanted it, Nitro wanted it, more pros wanted it, we have it, and we're happy. But when it comes down to when one day, if Riot is able to find something that satisfies those players and that Discord fizzles down or dies out, I'm happy with that too. Mission successful. We gave them a platform until something came out. We gave them something in the interim. And for me, I've ran pug systems in Call of Duty 1 when I was actually casting that in like 2004, and it's no different. It's still pretty fun. It's not daunting. And again, we're doing this. I mean, I'm doing this for the players, and I'm happy to be there for that.
Yeah, sure. I think, like, you know, Benita was implying that Roy had a sort of other motivations for running this. This is the kind of problem now as well, because you can get fucking hit with this sort of shit, like, you're just doing this to be self-serving. It's like anything that is, you know, and Benita's sort of, I don't know what happened obviously in the past. Obviously, you know, people were younger back then as well, but like, she's just like, I think it's ironic now that you say you're trying to help people out, and she frankly, obviously she is an aggrieved party here and something happened in the past, but she's absolutely coming at him in bad faith. There's no other way of looking at it. So the problem with this, everyone's like, gatekeepers. Yes, there's a fucking gate, dickheads, because you can't have a top cut of players without a fucking gate, a dam, some sort of thing that needs to be forded between them and the rest of the fucking thing. So yeah, there will be haves and have-nots. That is just the reality of it. This is not a fucking democracy.
Yeah. And to be honest, again, just to like squash all this fucking drama and the speculation on Reddit, is like when like the competition itself, like at first when I took it, I was like, okay, let's at least for now, while we set up the guidelines, let's actually invite, or like let's give that status for those people in the Discord that currently aren't in the top 20 or the top 25, and already within that, from like a tier 2 to the tier 1 at a competitive level, the skill level has already had a gap where there was a drop of quality in queuing. So they're already within itself that was something that I had to fix. And once I got to that decision to say, okay, well, let's actually make it top 20, the fine line, no black and white there. And it was actually really well received by everybody else. It's not, and they understand that it's going to get competitive. There's a reason why it's a top 20. It's a reason why it's a pro pug server. And they're okay with not being in there because they don't fit the criteria. It's nothing, there's nothing that bad right now in terms of players not making it in. So it's a good ecosystem, I find, that we are in right now, that the audience doesn't see, but it's good vibes in there right now. We're fucking vibing.
All right. So yeah, again, I think it's a great idea. Like I am playing devil's advocate because I've seen this shit happen before, and like there is there's an element of politics involved, and I just fucking hate politics in general. So I'm glad I'm not involved.
I'd rather game politics than just regular politics. So if you ask me about masks and shit like that, I was like, shut the fuck up and wear it. And I don't want to argue about it, but this, I don't mind arguing when it comes down to video games.
Glad to see you have nuance when it comes to people bitching about not being in the top cut of teams. Let's move on to something that's honestly at least a little bit more easily quantifiable. VCT EU Stage 2 is over. So the closed qualifiers are finished. We now know who is going to the Challengers playoffs. And obviously it's I mean, you can see it here, right? This is the teams that we had competing through the VCT Stage 2. Let's talk about this result then as well, Yinsu, obviously coming on board as someone who actually watches European Valorant. Fnatic, huge result. I mean, they make a big roster change, and obviously people aren't too thrilled about it initially. Not a great sort of reception, but they're looking pretty fucking spicy.
Really spicy. You know, I don't know if you guys know who Eddie Hearn is, but there's like a clip of Eddie Hearn being like, how the fuck did you fluke this? That sums up Fnatic a little bit, I think. If you don't know that reference, it's just like I'm chatting shit. But yeah, I think they made 2 roster changes. Obviously, this team was like Europe's sweetheart. Everybody was backing Summon FC. Everyone loves them. This was like the underdog team that didn't get signed, that ended up getting picked up as a 5-stack. Like I said, does not happen very often.
Sure.
So obviously dropping 2 of the players from the team that everybody loves, I think was, I wouldn't say controversial, but people were not happy with this. Let's put it that way. I think Daddy Chak getting dropped was kind of disheartening, but then Mo40 also getting benched. That's the one where like you saw Angel kind of speak about it. You saw a few other pro players come out and speak about it and go like, what is this? Like, why is Mo getting benched? But little did they know, Durka, who is a player from the CIS region, and I think he's Finnish and Russian, but he plays mainly in the CIS region. Little did they know Durka was getting trialed with Fnatic, and he is literally a god. This player is like nutty, and he in Counter-Strike, I think he was everybody in the European scene that kind of knew of him in Counter-Strike thought he was going to be like a prodigy. He, I think ENCE had approached him wanting to sign him. Obviously, if you're Finnish, like, you know, when ENCE comes knocking
on your door. Yeah,
exactly. And he actually went to the same high school as Yampi. They're 2 years apart. So Yampi was like 2 years above him in the same school. So I don't know what this school is, but they're breeding
I mean, Finland doesn't have that
like
many people
shooters.
there, you know, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. Like they got 2 people that can both play at the top level of CSGO and Valorant, which is just kind of nutty. But obviously Durka coming in, and this guy was, like I said, people knew who Durka was. The pro players in Europe definitely did. He was always someone that people kind of had their eye on, but the fans in general probably looked at this decision being like, who the fuck is this Durka guy? Like, what? Why have you benched one of our favorite players for this nobody? But little did they know, he shows up, stomps G2, stomps Vitality, 3-1 Liquid. But at the same time, Magnum is also another player. I think he's from the Czechoslovakia. Again, like no one really knew who he was except for Mike's. He was like a really big advocate, I think, for Magnum. Like, this guy is a good player. We got to keep an eye on him. And I know a lot of the top coaches also really respected Magnum. But obviously, Fnatic trialed a bunch of players. I know at one point they were linked with Olofmeister, which in my opinion is just horse shit. Because like, what is that? But they trialed a bunch of people, settled with Magnum and Durka. I mean, we can call it a honeymoon period. We can call it whatever you want to call it. But this team, before the roster swap, this team 3 weeks ago was scraping through the top competition. Like they were dropping maps against teams that weren't even in the top 50 on VLR. Like they were all over the place. They were really lackluster, and there was no way in hell. Like, I know some Fnatic fans can sit there and be like, oh, I believe, like, you know, I believe in this the Summon FC boys. I knew they were going to do it. But I can tell you that no one else thought at the end of this competition that Fnatic could be one of the teams going through, given that in their bracket they had to take down G2 and Vitality and also Team Liquid in the end. I don't think many people thought this. And then Nuki, I saw him in an interview yesterday where he thinks Fnatic will be one of the teams that actually make it out of the playoffs and go to Iceland. Again, I do not believe a single person. I don't even think Boaster thought that they had a chance of making it before this roster swap. So it's been one of the more positive roster swaps, I'd say.
Interesting, because I think so much of like Summon FC's brand was built under like this unlikely underdog story, right? And then you get partnered up with Fnatic, and all of a sudden the underdog story is not really compatible with like a world-beating esports organization. You know what I mean? And this is this is what happens, right? This is maybe why people were pretty precious about Chak and Mo40, because they were part of that sort of era of this team. But you know, a different org, a world-class org, kind of requires a different level of performance. So in Vansilli, it's kind of sick to see again the European scene sort of flipped on its head. We can talk through some of these results on the way, because obviously Fnatic made a sick run through, only dropping one map, but You know, we had obviously BDS, who was opportunists, who was defused. Obviously, they've been recently picked up there, and you know, they take down Ninjas in Pajamas, who is a team who people keep telling me on any given day are just like one of the top teams in Europe here. But this is a really disappointing conclusion for them. They don't make challenge playoffs.
I think just overall, it's just the nature of how Valorant is, man. I think I've had that conversation yesterday when my chat was like, name me like some organizations that are, or some teams rather, that are consistent in North America right now outside of Sentinels. And then I had maybe Envy because they're consistently in maybe like the top 4, but like consistently finalists or whatnot. Aside from Sentinels, there's nobody else. And if you're looking at Europe, there's potentially FPX, right, that you could think about. FPX is probably always like semifinalists, finalists, but never really winning, unfortunately. But when it comes down to a set winner, there's none right now. So upsets will continue to happen. I know we were talking about it before we came on, and then like we were saying how like maybe like some teams had like bad brackets and whatnot going into open qualifiers, but at the same time, the competition is so close that even if you're within that or outside of the top 15 in that bracket, you could still get upset by somebody else, which we've seen in past VCTs.
I got to stick up for my boys BDS because that was not an upset. Them beating NIP, it was not an upset. I mean, I love Existence, who is now at Kukos, and I love Rhyme, like they're my boys, but BDS have been unreal. When they were opportunists, they were unreal. When they were defused, they were unreal. They've been a little bit unlucky. Like, they've always been on the fringe of making it to the next important qualifier, but they've always fallen. I don't know what that is. I think it could be a mentality thing. But again, these guys have stuck together for 7 months now, I believe. And I like NIP, but BDS beating them honestly wasn't an upset. And I think the reason that we have a lot more depth in EU as well is because, like, you know, our teams actually bother anti-stratting their opponents because, you know, we've got strats. But I do think even in that Team Liquid game, because BDS were knocked out by Team Liquid, I'd say that most people, unless they're like a Team Liquid fanboy like I am, probably expected BDS to win that, and they should have won that. And I rarely do I kind of like look at a matchup at the losing team and feel like, oh, I would feel so shit if I were them right now because, you know, whatever. But I would genuinely feel so shit if I were those boys because they had it. That was their series. They were 1-0 up. They had a really, really good lead against Team Liquid on Bind. And I don't like using the word throw, but they kind of cracked. They crumbled, and you don't crack against Scream. Yeah. If you're gonna crack against Scream is gonna just abuse you.
Yeah, and you had some heroic plays though from Link as well on that second map to allow for Liquid to actually like get that like overtime, you know. So I was watching that game, and they had, both of those teams had their moments. Like when I was looking at BDS, like I saw a lot of like 3Ks coming out. Like they're fucking crisp. I'm gonna have to give it. When it comes down to aim for EU in that matchup, it was like the reaction time of these players to just like, okay, flick another 90-degree, another kill, another 90-degree, 1 bullet kill. But it came down to really like some huge clutch situations from Link, and then I think that was like the fuel to the fire of like, okay, we got this. They brought into overtime, and it was just like one-sided for Liquid all of a sudden. Like they were just jiggle picking, holding W, at least the NA style that I like, and that looked really good. Like they never really pushed forward. I'm talking about Liquid at this point. Yeah. They were just good at holding their defender side as well versus BDS, which was like, it was really good. Maybe then Yinsu, you could call this an upset, but why the fuck do we have you on this show just to always bash on NA? We're gonna win this one, man. Holy shit, she says we don't have strats.
I mean, holy fuck, Yinsu, you better clap some cheeks, mate. They better fucking get their hands in some cake.
Oh, dude,
fucking slap it.
I can't wait till like this moment where I said I told you so.
I mean, a lot of EU IGLs and coaches like don't even watch NA because there's nothing to steal. Like there's nothing that NA are doing that's worth.
Okay, so I literally heard that yesterday. I heard that yesterday when I was watching you and Boaster on the show, and then I'm gonna ask Syyko the same thing. We're gonna have him on later on. But I've mentioned this to my chat too. I was like, look, if it feels like NA is not developing strats and they're borrowing strats here and there, at least we're still making it look good. So what if we borrow a strat from Vision Strikers, but it still beats EU? It doesn't mean that NA is behind.
Does it look good though? That's the question, right? Does it look good?
If they win, it looks fucking great.
I mean,
We just take
yeah.
it, we do it better.
I mean, like, good luck. If FPX or Fnatic are the teams that make it through, I would be not even worried for NA, but I wouldn't even know what they would do against FPX and Fnatic and these teams like this. Like, I genuinely would not know because you're just gonna get 13-0'd. Like, you just are.
I mean,
okay,
this
we'll
is
see,
a
we'll
spice
see.
that I fucking live for. Let's talk
We'll
about
see.
that final again quickly because Yampi looks really good for Team Liquid in the lead up. You know, in a few of those matches, he just uses a fucking judge on Ascent and just causes a lot of problems for BDS in that map. But yeah, obviously a tougher series for him. Scream still looks very good, but I mean, this is where Fnatic go 4 maps, and I mean, they're not all close. Like, it really feels like Team Liquid just fucking gas out after that second map, right? I mean, Split and Bind are so one-sided after this relatively competitive start to the series.
What's funny is that Fnatic don't play Split. What they did was they got on the server and Boaster went, oh, I kind of want to play Reyna today. What about you guys? And they all sort of just picked an agent they wanted to play, and then they just played it.
Fucking hell.
They don't play Split, like they never do. But I would say that on Bind, Fnatic are the best Bind team in the world. Like, they just are. They are flawless on Bind. And I've yet to see a team that actually have found an answer for them yet. It's just cheese. Like, it's cheesy. It's annoying to play against. I think a lot of the players, I think Yassine even said it on broadcast from Guild. Yassine was just like, oh, these guys are just insufferable on this map. Like, you just want to push them, but the second you push them, they just do some cheesy shit and you're dead. Which is why I do feel like other regions would be so interesting to see how they handle a team that relies so much
easily.
on structure. You say that, but did you see Yampi on Bind? I don't know if you watched the VODs, but he was like updraft dashing into a Bolivian, and Fnatic somehow had an answer for that. Yeah,
That sounds like Oliver Jets.
Yeah. You're the one talking up NA, but like all I'm hearing is that like IGLing in NA just doesn't quite seem to have the same sheen as Europe right now, based on
I mean,
these comparisons I'm hearing.
I think there's great IGLing from teams. I think the styles you have so many different styles just in NA. I think we talk a lot about aggression in NA, but there's just so many play style within the teams themselves. Like, look at the amount of notepad notes that Shazam's gonna have about certain teams. That's like not only anti-striding but preparing, but also developing their own strats. So I think they're pretty good at developing their own things. You know, I said as a joke for that. And like Envy, for example, is going to get a lot of like strats that they build on their own too with FNS. And then you have that schmeeking aggression that you have from FaZe, which, by the way, I didn't see in the last tournament.
Where
unfortunately
they toned it down.
We'll talk about that later. But yeah, exactly. There's a lot of different play styles. I think it's going to look pretty good. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to this international LAN. There's going to be some questions answered, and I just can't wait to have Yinsu back after.
I mean, it's a good thing we've got MSI. It's a good thing we got MSI beforehand, because then, you know, that softens it a little bit for you guys. Like, you're gonna bomb out of MSI, bomb out of VCT Masters.
I was gonna say, I mean,
you know,
Europe. What?
NA
Gonna play MSI with a bunch of fucking European players.
Literally, the best European player is playing in NA, which is hilarious. But yeah, I am also looking forward to it. But I think someone in chat said about the Brazilian teams. Yeah, that's gonna be really
Is Europe
interesting.
watching the rest of the world? I mean, like, they feel confident about NA, but there's still there's a lot going on.
Brazilian teams are bonkers. They just don't care, do they? The Brazilian team are like, we don't care about the game or what makes sense. We're just gonna do us. I think that's gonna be super interesting. Like, but no disrespect to some of the other regions, but I don't see it. I mean, there could be an upset, right? In a best of 3, it happens. You can have a bad day, whatever.
Sure.
But I don't see a region outside of the usual suspects that lifts this trophy personally.
I want a wager between you two at some point. We'll work it out. We'll sort it out.
5 gifted.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
5
oh, 5? 25 more like.
There you go.
Listen,
going 25, going once. 25 from Yinsu in the corner there. 25 is the call right now. Once, going twice. Vansilli, you gonna have that? No, okay. There's no money. He's not getting fucking paid.
I was gonna say, obviously. I do 1 day for a VCT. You had the whole circuit, so come in some slack, yo.
Yinsu just got the fucking. She just flopped the wallet out the table. Yeah, the whole fucking purse is just.
I'm all in. Yeah, I'll give you Ryan Central as well. I'll throw Ryan in there. Yeah, winner gets to keep Ryan.
That'll be good. That'll be good. Okay, you know what? I'll take 10 gifted. No, we'll do 20. Fuck it. We'll do 25 gifted. But what's the 25 gifted? That NA is gonna go further than EU, or that NA is gonna beat EU in a matchup? Yo, let's do it in NA versus EU. So if we do have an NA versus EU matchup, that NA is gonna win.
Okay, but what if you just choke out?
It's
just if they both bomb out, then we both gift each other 25.
I feel like any of the EU teams any of the top 10 EU teams could beat any NA team at any on any map with anything. I just don't see a world.
We love hot takes. We love.
It's just
takes.
like well, it's about brain and aim, right? So do we go for the brain or do we go for the aim? But we also have Scream, who is brain and aim. So like, I don't know what you're gonna do against that.
Nonsense. Yeah, exactly. We're laughable. You just yawned at your statement. That's what Chape is going to call this.
Whichever happens first, either NA vs EU or one of these teams going further than the other in the event of that they don't play each other. But if they play each other, that would be the bet, right?
Yeah.
But they may not, because I don't know how it's going to work. Could be double elim, but it's more likely we do get a matchup at some point, right?
Exactly.
25 gifted, you bastards. It's on the line.
All right,
I doubt it will be double limb. To be fair, isn't it just 4 days or 5 days? Can you do a double limb in 5 days?
Yeah, you could do groups. You could do group round robin where not everything's broadcasted, like we did with the Ignition series in the past, and then do like a double elim where not everything's casted. If you want everything's casted, you can't do it.
Oh, Yinsu American flag. I'm seeing in chat.
Oh, I'll do a monologue on broadcast about how great NA is. If that happens, if NA gets further than EU, I will go on broadcast at Challengers 3 and I will do a monologue about how great.
Okay. All right. That's fucking spicy.
I'll do it.
Hey, don't worry. Vance will do that as well on the B stream of
Nurture Gamers Monthly.
Nights Monthly. You'll find it if you just dig deep enough in the spike there somewhere. All right. So quickly, obviously Yampi plays well in the tournament and then kind of gets fucked on a little bit. He gets pretty red, it feels like. He gets red by Fnatic, that aggression. They're sort of ready to deal with it. He got unbanned in Counter-Strike recently, obviously, with sort of how they've announced that changing. So a lot of people have been like, okay, this team, obviously, they lose in this final, which, as you sort of pointed out, they still make challenges playoffs. But people are like, will he go back to CSGO? Well, thankfully, we have a way of answering that because he does speak to that in this clip.
So, yeah. Everything, I know everyone's asking, will I come back to CS? I can't not just, I'm not gonna even think about it, at least in a week. We have LAN qualifiers. Coming up. Oh fuck, why did it change? Oh. We have LAN qualifiers. I'm not gonna even think about anything about my future or anything because, I want to fucking win the LAN qualifiers and everything. So, I just want everyone to know I'm extremely happy to be unbanned.
Right. So, yeah, Yampi obviously trying to fucking play the game right now, chat. So, God fucking damn it. Like, people are asking him that shit. Like, he's probably trying. He actually made challenges playoffs. So, he's going to try and go all the way. Big shout out to Rubino in chat, by the way. Huge fan of you on Counter-Strike as well. Thanks for coming by. Yeah, Rubino believes we'll see plenty of upsets because we are on LAN, and I think that's a great point. There will be plenty of there'll be some teams that just dominate and end up being LAN dragons, and oh my god, I'm pixelated. Don't worry about me. Yeah. It's not important.
That will be Angel and FPX. If they make it, they I think will do very, very well. But that he does raise a good point because a lot of the EU LAN teams I'd say have already been knocked out, which is a little bit unfortunate. But if FPX make it, if you're sitting across the stage from Daddy Angel, you're losing. You're not gonna beat him.
Yeah, that guy's freaky. All right, so here's how the EMEA regionals play out. I mean, it's been called many things. It's challenges playoffs. I think it's called Champions Tour Stage 2: EMEA Challenges Playoffs.
It's more complicated than that. It's actually more complicated than that.
Yeah, well, here it is. So it is a 2-group GSL style bracket. Here's Group A, Fun plus Fit. What the fuck is this group, Yinsu? This looks disgusting.
My heart broke a little bit for FPX because they won their final week 1 3-0, and they have to face Gambit first. What this tells me is that in terms of seeding, it seems like CIS's only seed is regarded less good than the 3rd seed from Turkey. This is what it looks like, because FPX had by far the cleanest journey really there. They're one of the first teams to qualify. They won their finals 3-0, but they have to play Gambit. But on the same time, it's also a little bit like my heart goes out for Gambit as well, because you're the only representative from CIS and you have to play FPX first. Again, like everybody has to beat everyone, but it's unlucky, I'd say.
I was hearing that Gambit probably is a little bit overrated. I haven't watched it enough, but like, can you give me some clarification on that a bit too? Like, is like the game of the Masters or something, or? Yeah,
all I would say is like, Bose is currently in the Fnatic office, and if he comes home and he's happy, I know they beat Gambit in Prague. Like, if he comes home and he's really deflated, no, I'm not even lying. If he's deflated, it means they got fucked by Gambit, like always. Because it really determines where you are as a team if you beat Gambit in Prague. But again, someone said in chat, Defo. Yeah, Defo is insane, that guy. He just wins stuff that isn't supposed to be won. And I think everybody had massive respect for Defo and Gambit. And Rubino said, if they do 80% of what they do in Prague, they will wreck anyone. Yeah, there you go. He's been there. He's felt the wrath of losing to Gambit. But
it's such a barometer for these teams.
Yeah,
you know?
It's honestly like, if you do well against Gambit in Prague, is like, lads, our work is paying off. Let's like relax. But if they're like beating you hard, you're like, shit, we're gonna be. It's bad going into the next qualifier. But the problem is they haven't played any teams in Europe in an official, really, because Fnatic have played against Oxygen quite a few times in the past. I think they played against them Epic Land a while ago, like probably 4-5 months ago. But they've at least played against each other. Like, we've seen this matchup.
Sure.
But we've not seen FPX versus Gambit in officials, which is why I think that's going to be super exciting. And also, obviously, like, FPX have a core CIS team. Like, 3 of the players on FPX are from the CIS region. They in theory poached all of the best CIS players. So it's going to be interesting to see like how that works out, because, you know, according to the rules, like, if FPX wanted to play in CIS, like right from the outset, they could. So this is like another layer to this, I guess. But as a perspective of a fan and as someone who loves watching EU Valorant, I wish this matchup would come a little bit later. And judging by how the seeding is done, it seemed like it made more sense. It would have made more sense if maybe BBL and Gambit were swapped and like Liquid had to play Gambit first, because like after all, Liquid was one of the last teams to qualify.
Second team,
you know, it is what it is. Yeah.
So I love the juxtaposition we're getting in chat of like an average like fan / plebs opinion and then a pro player's opinion, because the discussion is about NA, right? I'm calling you out. One Rusted Silver's like, NA all aim, no brain Papagas. And then right after it, Rubino is explaining that he feels like they have a very different play style, but he thinks that Sentinels and 100 Thieves would be really scary on land. So I just want to
think Sentinels on land, yeah.
Can we just bask? Can we just bask in the difference in nuance of these opinions?
I'm with Rubino on that one. I think land-wise, 100 Thieves and Sentinels are no-brainers, because these guys have actually played lands and these guys have actually won lands. Like, if they're going to go up against a bunch of teenagers from EU, I agree. I think land makes a big difference, but like in-game wise, you know, my boys are still more superior.
I'm calling you out because you're acting like a fucking pleb in the chat, Rusted Silver. You've literally got a pro player in Europe saying that NA is to be respected, and you're there like, no, that's fucking shit. They can't. This is the problem. So many fans don't have the capacity to like accept a world where there's like a team as strong as Europe and then NA that can still be strong. No, all you can do is be like, my region good, your region shit, me good, you bad, me aim and brain, you neither of them Papaga.
The fact that you're so pixelated is cracking me up. You're so pixelated and you're screaming at him. Oh my god!
Stop being fucking papages in the chat. All right, how about we just accept some nuance? Can actually, you know, not everything's mutually exclusive. It's not like you good, you bad, me good kind of shit. Hello, I'm trying to help you. Be a fucking human.
had Rubino and Heretics made it to LAN, Iceland, I would be very, very scared for the other teams because I think that would have been an exceptional LAN team as well. But it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. With that, they fall out in some really tough games. All right, we're gonna get to a break here because Jesus Christ, I'm trying to fucking help people, right? This is like I'm like strongman, right? People are gonna hate me because I speak the truth. I'm trying to fucking help people. Yeah, there's no personal agenda. Actually, there is. Like, there is a personal agenda in calling you a play because it makes me feel so fucking good. We're gonna be back after the break, though. We've got much more to talk about. Again, we need to talk. We're talking to Syyko, of course, coach of XSET. We're gonna talk a bunch about NA because fucking hell, we haven't talked enough about them yet. And then, of course, we're gonna be doing our fond look back over the year that's been so far. So thank you for tuning in so far. Stick around. We'll be back with more Valoranting. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. I have 1 pixel for each person in the chat. I know what I can do about that. My just big shout out to Cox Communications in Orange County. Fuck you, by the way, for monopolizing the internet out here and being
what
absolute dog shit.
communications? What?
Oh, sorry. Let me say that again. Cox.
Oh,
Cox,
okay.
yeah, we love Cox out here in Orange County. It's great. Yeah, my internet is shite, but that's fine because my guests aren't. We're gonna roll straight on into this here. Obviously, XSET are a team that have really impressed us for quite a while, right? Late last year, they were putting in the grind in a lot of like these monthly tournaments. I think they were a part of the Complexity 10K. They were in the Winter Championships, right? All of a sudden, this team really starts to come alive, and everyone is talking about XSET, right? They're showing us like this incredible communication, this coordination, at least displayed in game. They're bringing a brand of Valorant that we're not really seeing from anyone else. So we want to know all about that. This isn't the first Valorant podcast that Syyko's been on, but we're glad to have him here. So I want to welcome coach of XSET, Don Syyko Meyer. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Listen, I mean, we're glad we could secure you, man. I'm sure you guys have been busy. I mean, you've had a little bit of break, obviously, as you guys have already well and truly qualified at this stage for Challengers Finals, but you'll be building into that. We want to know a little bit about your background personally, because you know, for maybe people who only followed Valorant, maybe they're not really familiar with, you know, yourself or even the brand that is XSET and, you know, maybe what your goal and mission was in Valorant.
Sure. So my background's pretty diverse. You know, I did competitive gaming back in high school and a little bit of college. Played some America's Army, COD 4, Black Ops.
America's Army.
Yeah, bringing it back. So, you know, I went into college, started doing college things, playing in bands, you know, touring in bands, working IT jobs. So I kind of got away from gaming for a while. And then a couple years ago, Battalion 1944 came out, which kind of pulled a lot of those, you know, old COD 4 players back into it. Was playing a little bit of that. And then we heard Valorant was coming out. So one of these Battalion teams hit me up and said, "Hey, I heard you were talking about, you know, maybe want to do coaching." And I said, "Yeah, you know, sure, screw it. Like, I'll try coaching. It sounds like something I'd be very good at. I really like it." Developing players, and you know, my aim's not what it was when I was a high school kid, so you know, sounds like a good path for me. So Valorant came out in beta, and I was, you know, helping these Battalion 1944 guys from Sedated's team, transition over. And we were doing pretty well. I was really enjoying it, but that team kind of died out. We had trouble getting like a solid 5 together, and everything was so like volatile early on. Nobody knew who was good, who was bad, etc. So that team kind of fell apart, and me and Wilski went from there over to Lazarus. So at that point in time, I was coaching Lazarus part-time. I'm still working the IT job at Microsoft as a support engineer, and just, you know, staying very busy. But then Lazarus kind of petered out, and I did a tier 2 team, Genesis, with a bunch of ranked players. I just kind of like threw a team together with Profi, Chemicals, a couple other guys, Nosy. And then after that, I was contacted by a trial manager for Pretty Boys, who was led by Thwifo, who was signed by XSET, who was tasked to put a team together. And they kind of hit me up and said, "Look, you know, we got this team. I'm putting them together. We're trying to get, you know, signed by XSET, and we just feel like we've hit a plateau. We need some help busting through." And I said, "You know, sounds good, perfect. Bring me in." So we started, you know, piecing together the final pieces. We brought in Weeded. Secured Pure R, who had kind of been wandering away from us over to Immortals. We snatched him back in. And
awesome.
we had a pretty good run. So
yeah, and it continues to be pretty good actually so far, Syyko. So just to get back onto it too, because you said basically that was my question looking back of how you got about with Pretty Boys and XSET, and I guess it was, the Pretty Boys already destined or in a project to try to get something done and start the XSET division for Valorant. And if they brought you in, you're like, okay, I'll give it a shot, but you were still trying to figure out like the right pieces. What flaws or what gaps did you notice so far from the get-go with Pretty Boys, and how did you piece it together to say we might need this, we might need that? What goes in through your mindset for this?
That was a while back. So when I came in, the biggest issue was, we really only had like a core three between Twyfo, Brando, and Aaron. And
Aaron,
PRR
yeah.
obviously was trialing with Immortals, and we had another guy. And so the issue was, we have all these pieces. What are these pieces doing? How do they mesh together? And just kind of figuring that over the course of about a month. And then after that, I was able to kind of identify, okay, these are the pieces that are missing. So we brought in we did and kind of secured that final five, and we were doing pretty well with Brando. But the biggest thing in the beginning was just kind of laying down framework. A lot of it was just, 5 guys in a server together playing Valorant, and we kind of sat down and approached it like, how do we want to approach every map? How do we want to structure our defaults? What is the objective when we're going fast? What are we doing when we're going slow? What are we doing? Just kind of laying that framework for how we were going to build the team moving forward. And I think a lot of those fundamentals that we laid in the early days, back when it was just, even before we did, or right as we did join, and it was still Brando, and we were, sitting in a custom lobby in Haven, for example, looking at our 131 defaults, like some of that stuff we still do today. And it's just frameworks that we've layered and layered and layered on top of. So I think just getting a good solid head start on that early and starting to lay that down was really what allowed us to continue rolling forward.
Actually, I wanted to know about your approach, more of your approach in the game. You spoke about having this sort of vision and finding your missing pieces. But of course, with the game, like we got new maps, new agents, buffs, nerfs, like happening all the time. And I'm sure you know as well, like it feels like the secret of staying consistent is being flexible, and being able to accept the meta that's changing and developing. And in terms of that, with Astra coming in, what do you think is the best approach with this agent right now? Because over here in Europe, a lot of teams are playing Astra. A lot of teams are doing very, very, very different things with her. So yeah, I just wanted to know what you think the best and most effective approach is with this agent.
Sure. So when Astra came out, we were still in the final stages of VCT 1. So we were kind of playing on those old patches. We didn't get to jump into her as early as we wanted. But the minute we were able to, and, even before then, I was kind of playing her on my own in ranked and kind of seeing what she could do in custom servers. And it was like, to me, it was the impact that she brought and the value that she added over even an Omen was immediate. And I knew that we had to work her into our comp on almost every map. So as soon as we got the chance to do so, we brought her in. She's oppressive, man, especially on defense. Just the ability to control zones and choke points and slow down the timing of the other teams is really oppressive. And her utility combos so well with just about any other agent does damage or any sort of impact. So we just kind of worked her in, started looking at how do we want to use her, where are we going to put her, what agents are we going to put her near, and then watching how she kind of organically flowed with these agents, and then kind of picking out, okay, that's good. Let's do that more. Okay, this is good too. Let's do that more. How can we combine these things? This and that.
What about the way that she's paired with Viper as well? Because obviously some people are going to think that's a bit of an overkill. You don't need that kind of dynamic. And some people, with you guys having such a good Viper player, do you feel like that's also the way forward?
I think right now, Viper's in an interesting spot. She's obviously been buffed to the point where it's almost absurd not to use her. But you still can't on most maps use her as the sole controller because of the way that she works. Obviously, when you throw your wall down in your orb, if they're not in a place where you can pick up the orb, and obviously you can't pick up the wall at all, you're kind of committed to that bomb site. So say you're, taking A on split, you throw your wall and your orb down.
And they know
now
it's
you got
telegraphed, right?
Yeah, you get stuffed, and now you got to go B, but now you don't have smokes, you don't have anything to cover choke points at B. So you have to have that Omen or that Astra to kind of offset her. On Icebox, you can get away with that more. With her as a solo controller. But yeah, I think right now, comboing Astra and Viper, or Omen and Viper, for people who aren't comfortable with Astra, you're going to see a lot of that right now until, the nerfs come in.
So I want to talk a little bit about Challenges 1, right? Because, this is XSET obviously really starting to get a lot of respect from people over the last couple of months, right? As a team, I think one thing that which I'll touch on later is people are so impressed about how incredibly quick your retakes are. You guys are like just on the spot, just making things happen, and you never really seem to be under time pressure as a result of that. But for the first time in a challenges, you actually win your first matchup. Quite often, you actually had to fight in the lower bracket for a lot of these. But so you end up beating BBG. Then you have to go up against Envy. Like after you win your first game, you're up against Envy. Now you play them twice over the course of this tournament, and one thing I always love is hearing from coaches or teams that they play against a top opponent like this on 2 occasions. Now you get 2-0'd in that first match, but you end up coming back in the lower bracket to beat them. I want to talk through a little bit. I don't know if it's going back too far now, but so like, what is the thinking process in between those 2 games, or what do you think you changed? What did you learn from that first Envy game that allowed you to just walk back in and honestly just look unbelievable? Obviously it was a banger of a series. It's like 13-9s, I think, all the way through, but you guys end up triumphing, and that's just like a huge statement. It's like we're really here now. We're really a top team. I just want to know what happened in between.
Well, obviously we played Envy quite a bit. Even going back to, like you said, Complexity 10K, we played them, and then right after that, NSG 25K Winter, we played them twice. They were in our groups. We've got matched up against Envy. I don't know. This obviously isn't based on numbers, but I feel like more than just about any other team that we play at that level.
Sure.
So they know us really well. We know them very well. And it's a really close matchup, but we feel like they edge us out a lot more than we're able to edge them out. So whenever we go up against them, we try to look at that in that light and kind of, what's our counter strategy going in? What are we going to deal with on their end? Our counter strategy going into the first matchup obviously didn't pay off.
Sure.
We got bumped down into the lower bracket by them, but then had to play them again in that lower bracket run. We played them on split, I think, first, and we felt pretty confident with our we had a new comp that they hadn't seen yet in the previous matchup. We thought we could catch them off guard. It was a close match, but they ended up beating us. So after that, it's like, okay, look, we're down, 0-1. We got to win the next 2. What can we do? And at that point, we're just like, let's mix it up. Let's run with the comp that, we kind of had this comp where we did kind of plays the flex agent, whether that be Sky or Viper or whatever. Jordan goes on the smokes, and we just, run our confidence play. So that was it, like, let's run the confidence comp. Let's go in there swinging and just try and catch them off guard, play a really faster style of play, because they were kind of beating us in that slow it down mid-rounding style. FNS is just, he's a very good IGO. So he's kind of beating us in that capacity. So we're like, look, let's just bring it to your doorstep. Let's run it down on you and see how you can deal with that. And obviously that paid off.
This comp as well has what Pure are just playing Raze, right? No, you didn't play any Jet in that sort of second time you went up against Envy. Is that part of that confidence comp, that sort of approach, or was it like a map specific decision? Because obviously Pure and Jet are quite synonymous, at least in the past, for you guys.
Yeah, Pure is a sort of a special case when it comes to our comps, because he's our exclusive duelist, and a lot of the times we run our duelist based on what he's confident on. But we've been kind of mixing that up lately with Jordan flexing off of the Raze onto Astra. So he's had to kind of pick up Raze on certain maps to fill the void where we feel having a Raze is more important than having that Jet. So that's one of those, he kind of has filled that void a lot of the times. And at this point, he's very confident on the Raze now. So when the confidence call came in and we were talking bind, obviously for us, Raze is a bit more valuable on that map, and he was very confident on it, so we ran it.
Syyko, so you're telling me when you played against Envy, it was like, okay, it's a new comp, something that I haven't seen before. Please, please, please tell me I'm in the right direction, that, it's a new comp not seen, so that means you guys came up with it, right? You didn't borrow any strats like Yinsu saying, we're able to come up with strats, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I caught a bit of that segment. I mean, it's hard to speculate. It's hard to speculate, like
I got
we
caught.
won't know
I got
until...
caught.
Yeah, I caught you. Iceland's coming up in a month, right? So we're gonna know pretty soon. Hopefully. Right now, it's all speculation. Like, we don't really know. We can look and say, wow, that looks really smart. It looks like a smart play. Or that aim looks really snappy. That looks like good aim. But objectively, can we really say, you know, unless we bring in like the aim labs guys and we're doing combines in a controlled environment and saying, okay, objectively, these guys have better aim than these guys, or, you know, let's bring out the IQ test. Are these guys smarter than these guys? We don't know. Like, we're not going to know until we play each other. As with any sport, just like traditional sports, like national pride comes into it. So yeah, I want to say NA is going to win, you know, whether it's us, whether it's Sentinels, BBG, who knows who goes to Iceland. I want to see the NA team win, but we're not going to know until it happens.
I have the bowl ready to drink Yinsu in all of Europeans.
Or the XSET cereal bowl.
I mean,
I'm actually gonna put Fruit Loops in there too, and just fucking
you don't need to do that, man. You're salty enough. You're salty enough. You don't need any more salt. Actually, awesome. I do have a mega quick follow up. Actually, if you did hear the segment we were talking about earlier, because when it comes to I want to say stealing, because like everyone is stealing stuff from each other at this moment in time. I know, like in the beginning, everybody was sort of looking to Vision Strikers and Korea that sort of breached Jet Meta that they started. Are you watching any of the other regions as well? And if so, as any teams or players caught your eye when it comes to stuff that you also want to kind of adopt into your own arsenal?
I do my best to watch all the regions. I think especially the players too are always looking at other regions, looking at their players to see what they can adapt and learn from. I think that with any new game, as the meta kind of evolves and solidifies, there's going to be, you know, people innovating new things and other people saying, wow, that's cool, I'm going to do that too. And, you know, then that's the meta, right? Everybody starts doing it. And then it's like, well, who started it? Who, you know, who's doing it best now, whatever. But I think the thing about being in an early game like this, and especially a game like Valorant with so much utility, is there is so much room for innovation as opposed to a game like Counter-Strike that's been out for even just Go has been out for a decade now. People are doing a lot of the same things. And when, you know, Astralis does their diamond pistol stack, everybody's like, oh my God, that's so innovative. But it's because you don't really see new things in Counter-Strike that often. So it's really cool to see that. But I feel like this early in Valorant, we're seeing new things, you know, every tournament. And it's pretty it's kind of cool to see. And it's going to be pretty interesting to see, you know, what becomes dominant later on. And I think it will come down to international play to see who stacks up best against each other, what strategies they're running.
Which players and teams, I guess, outside of your region has impressed you? I'm just interested.
Oh yeah, I really, obviously it's hard to ignore Vision Strikers and their you know, their winning streak. So is that a matter of the region's small and they just got the 5 best players and they're that much more dominant, or is what they're doing just that crazy? So again, international play will be interesting to see how they stack up against everybody. But Vision Strikers, their set pieces are really fascinating with how precise they can be.
I mean, I want to tack onto that as well, because I think XSET are known as a team that are like have this uncanny ability to be extremely instinctive in following each other. People have sort of mentioned that, like, you know, quite often you guys go together, right? A lot of times your executes are really well coordinated with all 5 players. And something that was noted initially, I think it was DDK that pointed it out, and I've been watching now every time I see XSET play on defense, is that your retakes are very snappy. Like, they're really fast. A lot of teams take a while to find them, or like they dick around a whole bunch there. But I kind of want to know, like, if you've noticed this, or if you feel like that's something that you guys do well, and maybe why you think you're able to be so coordinated as a unit of 5, because it seems so much more coordinated that people like even myself can sort of notice it.
I think it comes down to a couple things. The first being just how we approach practice. And how we approach strategy in general. A lot of our set pieces aren't like traditional set pieces like you think, where you do this at 37 seconds and then you do this at 32 seconds and then you're going to pop out over here. You know, it's more of, you know, practicing like what we want to accomplish, and getting repetitions in, and then really putting in a lot of VOD review time to look back and say, you know, step by step, are these decisions the right decisions? Is there a decision you could have made, or a position you could have taken that would have given you a higher percentage chance of winning that round? We try to just really approach each of these things methodically, so that the next time we're in that situation, we kind of know what to do. So a lot of our chemistry and fundamentals have really been solidified over these last few months of really just ingraining this stuff in practice. And making sure everybody's on the same page consistently. As for the faster retakes, sorry, I'm trying to think of how to approach this without,
Giving too
Giving
much
away
away.
your strats,
Right,
of course,
yeah.
of course, of course.
But you agree, right? You do agree that you feel like you're able to pull that off more than other
Yeah,
teams.
yeah. And I think it's something we were kind of forced into with the comps we were playing, as well as the opponents we were playing, and it just comes down to the team we're playing at the time as well, if we're going to be doing that or not, because some teams are really good at getting onto the site and establishing a post plant, and some teams really like to burn all their utility and get onto the site and then suck at the post plant. So it's just really a matter of whether we want to get onto that site and disrupt what they're doing and preparing for, or if we want to kind of wait and get all our guys in there and be ready for a full-on assault together.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, speaking of suck, I always like to ask about different agents and stuff like that with coaches. And I know we've already talked about Astra already now, but I actually want to ask about Astra going into 2.07 with literally her gravity well, where you could actually pull out spike diffusers now off the diffuse. And also with your current thoughts about Yoru, for example, in current patch 2.06. Do you see any for Yoru, do you see any viability? For Astra, do you think she's going to be more broken?
I already see Astra as like, she brings so much more value than any of the other controllers at the moment. I mean, Omen's the only other viable one as the solo controller on most maps. So making her stronger obviously seems like a step in the opposite direction of where it needs to be. Obviously, I want her to stay where she is because I like crafting strategy around where she is right now. And if you're going to give me the opportunity to let her player pull someone off the bomb in a defuse situation, then yeah, I'll take that and run with it. But I think at that point we need to look at Brimstone and say, what does his stim pack do if Astra has an ability that pulls people off of the bomb plant or the bomb defuse?
Yeah.
It is kind of a power creep, I think some of the initial agents suffer from that because sometimes there's only so much you can scale up a concept. Like, how do you scale up stim pack to make it competitive, or to make it compete with something like the suck, so to speak? They do different things. There's only so much
Why do we have to
do.
call it that?
It's called the suck.
That's what we
That's
call
what we call
it.
it in North America. That's
You're not going to force these players to call it anything else when they're communicating with each other, so you might as well just embrace it.
All right, so here's the. I don't know if you have an opinion on this, but I'm kind of curious. There's like Syyko posted a tweet the other day, talking about 6-man rosters and how he feels like they can actually be kind of like a negative because of the pressure that the player sort of feels, and we're actually seeing like a few of these 6-player rosters crop up now. Some of them are just like sometimes we're just seeing that 6th player just leave. Eventually, right? I want your take on this. Do you think it makes sense? Do you think there's a place for it right now? You particularly have a team with people like we did who just plays fucking everything, so maybe you don't need a sub, but I'd love to know your thoughts on 6-player rosters in general in Valorant.
Sure. So let's look at like current 6-man rosters, at least in NA. I think one is NRG, and I think their 6-man is Infinite, but I think like that's like a special situation. Like he's got some stuff going on. He had some weird publicity thing he was dealing with, so I don't know if that was like he's still contracted, but we're pushing him into the shadows and we're building a different team, whatever.
Yes.
And then you have TSM, right? And then their situation is, we've been struggling to perform despite our pedigree. And so at that point, I feel like they were pressured to make a roster change, but you don't want to cut one of your people, so you just bring someone else in. I don't know the status of that. They played with Brax that first run, didn't qualify, and then they played with the original 5 this next run and qualified. So I don't know. What does that mean for Brax? Who knows? I think 6-man is hard to do in this game versus like Counter-Strike, where the roles are a little bit more malleable. You can play one role one round and one role another round, whereas in this game you're locking into an agent, so you're kind of committing to that role. And like you hinted at, if you're a 6-man, you got to be flexible to fill a variety of roles. So you need to know how to play all those agents. So definitely brings added challenges for 6-man rosters in Valorant. I don't think I personally would run with that. Because there's also the aspect, it's a weird power dynamic. I feel like that's what Syyko was referencing. Like someone's always, kind of feeling left out of the group, or, who's deciding who's playing? Is it the coach, the manager, the IGL?
The captain,
Is the team taking votes? And at that point, is it like Survivor, the reality show? Are you like making friends with your other teammates to make sure you can play the match that weekend? You know, it's I don't know.
Alliance immunity.
Yeah, who is the immunity idol this week?
Okay, that makes sense, and that very much lines up, I think, with what Syyko was sort of saying as well. It's just kind of an extra element of like social complexity added to you know, being in a team, which is like you kind of you want to prune these off. Ideally, you want to be, you know, as streamlined as possible as you can be. So obviously you're in the Challengers finals. Obviously Challengers are a little bit different this time around, and you can have a double elimination bracket. Top 2 teams go to Masters. I'd love to know how you're feeling going into that in advance. And obviously, if you win your first match, you're playing against Envy again. So yeah, getting pretty used to going up against them. I'd love to, you know, just before we wrap up and let you go and do your thing, I just wanted to get a take on, you know, what to expect from XSET and how you guys are feeling.
I think we're feeling pretty good. It's obviously a huge advantage to have this much time to prepare. And it's just like a privacy aspect as well, right? We can test new things and not be watched by 100,000 people on the Nerd Street Gamers broadcast. So that's obviously an advantage. And then inversely, we can watch these other teams. Gives us a good counter-stratting edge. I think it'll be good for us, obviously, and I feel really good going into it. Are we going to get top 2? I don't know. I want to say yes, obviously. I think the guys are all ready for it. We're all ready to go to Iceland. I got my passport last week. You know what I mean? Like, we're ready to go. We're ready to compete against these guys and see how we can do on the international stage. So I'm sure Finesse is looking at that bracket like, oh, I got these guys again, right?
Here we go.
He'll have some stuff ready for us. We'll have some stuff ready for him.
Oh man, I can't wait. I mean, I think, yeah, obviously you guys have just made a lot of fans out of the Valorant community over the last few months. So congratulations for how you know, yourself personally and also the team have been able to sort of, yeah, again, conquer a lot of the challenges of a very rapidly shifting metagame and a game that's obviously very young. So we look forward to it. Thank you so much, Syyko, for giving us your time, man, and all the best for you guys in the Challengers finals.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Syyko. Appreciate it, bro.
Thank you. I mean, that's sick. I mean, yeah, obviously, like, full disclosure, I've spent a weekend thinking about Overwatch. I've been having to cast that stuff here, but damn, there's nothing like jumping back into the ice cold pool of Valorant and thinking, holy shit, we got the fucking Challengers finals in multiple regions coming up. I'm so pleased about that. Let's so speaking of which, let's dive in there, because you know, we know that we have 4 teams that have qualified from NA here, but we just had our open qualifiers sort of for VCT, and it's 3? What is it? What the fuck is the name of this tournament? Like, what
Wait, is this main event?
Challengers 2, stage
2
2,
main
open
event.
qualifier.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
You're not a main event yet. You're this is the stage before main event, I guess.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So this
Same
is
as us.
obviously XSET qualified through Challengers 1. This is Challengers 2 now. So this is the round of 16 bracket, I want to say. No. Okay, it's even more zoomed 32? In than that.
Yeah.
No,
32, right?
It goes back to, let me see, T1, Boost Phase, Easy 5. Yes, it does go back to round of 32. You're smart, man.
Yeah, you know, maybe I had lack of sleep, but I still have my eyes open.
All right, bitch. You watched all the fucking VODs, Van, so you fucking talk to me here.
Yeah, nerd, Van. Nerd.
Absolute geek.
I just realized that I've watched, like, I was like, oh man, I'm going to stream for like fucking 8 hours and watch all these VODs. And I was like, oh wait, I forgot to watch fucking Energy and LG. Oh.
Okay, well, I mean, listen, look, I mean, in all fairness, normally, I'm not working on a product that I have an exclusivity deal with, and B, you know, sometimes it's another NA person joining us on the show, so don't worry about it too much. But one thing I want to talk about, can we bring the bracket up again? Because I actually want to use this as the backdrop for some of this discussion. This is good for now. First things first, this round of 16, I guess we'll call it, was really interesting. Sonics are in the mix, and Sonics go to 3 maps with TSM. Did you get to, I mean, I saw Hayes say that he felt Sonics were really frustrating to play against.
Yeah, I think they looked pretty good for the majority of the series. Frustrated to play against. It was close, but I don't know why Sonics kind of like left split into that best of 3. I thought maybe Sonics was like, okay, well, we've learned a lot from a 13-0 versus Sentinels. We could probably tweak that up and try to get something done here versus TSM. And it was pretty much like the same type of results. Overall, I still think that Sonics looks really good. They're definitely a great competitor for a team that just came into the region like last week or 2 weeks ago and already almost qualifying and making things very difficult for a couple of teams. But I honestly, looking at this whole qualifier until where TSM qualified, even though I think Hayes is just being nice. Even though he said like they're tough to play against, they looked really good going through the qualifiers because their series versus Gen G was really one-sided as well.
Let's move on. So you didn't get to catch this match, but we can still talk to it because we can just do what every analyst does pre-game in Valorant and actually just look at the spike.gg for all our stats. NRG over LG. Now, I saw the tweet from a Proto. He's like, yeah, we're out of Masters. And I was like, wait, what? What? I mean, I couldn't believe it. This is quite insane. I mean, LG looking pretty nasty. Thieves obviously on the raise. Both of these teams using Astra all the time here, right? Som obviously on Astra is pretty insane. Stellar as well. You know, outside of the granularity that we maybe would be able to use had we sort of seen this in detail, this is pretty crushing for Luminosity. Who, I mean, think back to sort of last challenges. Like this team is, I mean, it's been a bumpy ride. They've been up and down.
That's the thing, because even with the past challengers, they unfortunately like crumbled at some point where we don't really know, because like you still see a Proto streaming. He's still having good vibes. He doesn't look like he's nervous. He's looking very confident. The morning of going into the qualifiers, it's like, okay, well, I think it's Stellar's dad that tweets it out. It's like, my team is, or good luck to my son. Good luck to our team. They're going to do pretty well. And then we all expect always for LG to do pretty well. But it is still versus Energy, man. I think we've been talking for the past few weeks that when Energy picked up Android and they picked up Tex, this is some great upgrades for the team. Yes, of course, maybe we didn't see the series, but on paper, they still look very, very good. So it wasn't an easy task for LG. You would have wanted for them to actually make it through from qualifiers 1 or challengers 1. But I think Energy, even with the way that they've been going through their bracket, right? I mean, it was pretty one-sided too, except versus Squirtle Squad. Squirtle Squad, they had to play against Som's team. That's
Squirrel or Squirtle Squad?
It's Squirtle Squad.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
What is Squirrel Squad?
I was maybe like mumbling my words, you know.
I was like, what is? Yeah, why would you call your team Squirrel Squad?
I don't know. I didn't know if it was just like some fucking thing. We don't have squirrels in Australia. I don't know if they're like culturally significant in other countries.
Oh, no,
well, you have
Squirtles
in Australia?
No, we don't have.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, okay.
So many Squirtles.
They're all in PC box 1. Don't worry. Fucking all of them.
I think that matchup versus Squirtle Squad was pretty one-sided still. They lost. It looks on the bracket that it was still a 2-1, but it was a 14-12 on Icebox, where again, it's like, I think some teams are still trying to figure things out, but once you get to the other two maps, one-sided, not even past like 5 rounds for Squirtle Squad at that point. So NRG, I think they're going to be looking pretty good into the close qualifiers to potentially even get the top 4 to play into the regional North America regional stage 2 challengers to whatever it is now.
Challengers playoffs. Stage 2
exactly.
Challengers playoffs. There you go.
Right. Okay, who the fuck is Noble? They go up against Sentinels here. It's a 2-0 Sentinels win here. But I mean, listen, Vans. I mean, I don't know much about this Noble squad at all. But they're surprising everybody getting here.
I mean, this is another good thing about the Discord Pro servers, right? So I get to watch Menace play a lot and King. They're like, or even Zekin. They're queuing a lot in these 10-mans. They're prodigies. It's like a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old, literally. Even though there were like 2 scorelines of like 13-7, I think even their manager or just in general, they've been pretty happy with the experience that they've gotten. Overall, it's like Menace is like, literally, he lives up to his name. We talk about players that are always holding W and that are being super aggressive. Menace is actually one of them. Like, he is pushing every single time as a raise on defense, where it almost looks like you're playing a Brazilian team of like this aggression of defender style. They don't really care. They want to rely on their aim, of course, with the mechanical skills of what you could bring with Raze. But for a matchup versus Sentinels, when you talk about, Shazam is like, teams are actually stunning us a lot. We don't have a chance to practice. Shazam fucking studies, because there was this one round on that Ascent matchup that we just saw before where they had 10s posted up outside of the shed with an operator looking at the top window of like where you shoot the recon dart through to watch towards B, and it was a round where Menace had a showstopper ready. He puts the showstopper up, boom, hits him right away, he falls, and that's a round already going through for Sentinels. So they were utterly prepared versus Noble. Noble could have been as prepared as they can be versus Sentinels because of all that footage, but it definitely showed that Sentinels was like, we're gonna just dominate through this bracket and come out prepared, and tough luck for Noble at that point, but happy to see that they made it to the top 8.
Yeah, I mean, to the uninitiated, I think that a lot of people sort of had no idea about. I know about the org. The org's sort of been around, but
Yeah.
that is the beauty of this sort of open format that allows them to sort of make their way so far through. And it should be a sign of respect. I think that Shazam is looking at this team like
They were close in Challengers 1-2, man. They made I think they made like top 16 or top 32 in their first run as well. So they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Let's crack on because this one is bizarre. I watched a little bit of this one. TSM versus Gen G. I feel like it's been like a rivalry a little bit. I don't know why. I always feel like there's something to this matchup until you get fucked on by Wardell for fucking 2 maps.
He's tired of it, mate. He just wants to go to Iceland. Let a man go to Iceland.
He really wanted to go. It definitely showed in that game, right? Because when you're looking at Wardell, he was actually the Wardell. It was a TSM that we knew from like Ignition Series, to be honest, when I was watching with this. And at the same time, it was the Gen G that we kind of knew from Ignition Series 2. He kind of felt like the old guard where it's like, okay, well, if you have an off day, it's an off day. If you have an on day, it's an on day. And it's been that storyline, and unfortunately for TSM and for Gen G, in my eyes, for quite a bit. Also a lot around their operators. So Win, unfortunately, wasn't really there. And Wardell really was hitting all of his shots at that point. He was even dashing with jet knives and not giving a fuck. And then catching like Gen G off guard all the time. And the thing is like, when I look at this very map, like where you predict where there's going to push down towards long C with the operator and try to get like that halfway cubby shot towards long, and where he's usually punished by other teams quite often, like Immortals when they had a very bad loss, they were still not. It didn't look that evolved for me on a map like Haven, but they were still looking pretty good. But they also have a composition that has that double initiator right now with the Silva and the Sky that I actually really, really love. I love seeing double initiators in the compositions right now. They're integrating a lot of Astra into that as well, but still using the same type of play style for all of these players, where they're comfortable in their role and comfortable what they have to do with the new agents that they want implemented. I mean, Wardell is just going to be able to do what he wants to do at that point, and they trust him in that process. And I think that it goes back to that again. If Wardell is not going to have like his first blood like he wants to, how do you adapt with it after with the other 4 players? And I think getting like these double initiator for the information and for the retakes with the flashes is definitely quite good for that adaptation.
Now, Hayes plays this whole series. Hayes is obviously playing with TSM. I don't know if we get Brax earlier on in the bracket here, but which is it? And what do you think that Hayes sort of, obviously I'm glad that they're sort of using him. I really think Syyko's take on the 6-player roster was really interesting, but I mean, Vans, do you see like Brax adding to this TSM performance were it him instead of Hayes? We talked about this. I was salty as fuck, thought they were going to bench the guy. So glad maybe I'm just boomer biased, but
no, I'm boomer biased as well. I think Hayes, going back to this one, the rumor was that he was going to be IGLing for the team at the same time too, and I think he was, if I'm not mistaken. And Brax coming into the roster for me is like, okay, well, it's a full plug where they're in the middle of actually trying to qualify, right? So going into Challengers 1, I do see that where, okay, let's switch out Ascendant to Sentinel, or Brax was playing it quite often with T1. Of course, he could also still play a duelist, but I think where it's lacking a bit for TSM, and they were trying to switch things over or make small changes, was actually in probably something else than that duelist, because you're not going to take away Wardell from that position, right? You're not going to switch Wardell into a different ancient. So what makes more sense at that point when you have Drone and Sabroso in there? Well, it's going to be one of those two. Is Brax going to play a Silva, you think? Probably not. So you put him into that Cypher role while you, I guess, kind of have that the first trial to see how it's going to go and build that synergy, because you're right in the middle of it. You have no other chances to practice but the VCTs. So it doesn't work out. You bring Hayes back, and then I think at the same time, you're still trying to concut what is going to be the next type of like composition where potentially, again, a 6-man roster might come into fruition where you don't have players that could flex into something else. Like, for example, if there's going to be maps where potentially TSM doesn't want to run a jet anymore, but some maps that they do, then potentially they could put Brax into that role to help TSM in that success.
It just feels like the shoehorning, but all the wrong reasons to me.
Yeah. Again,
like it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the way the EU have done it, for example, Fnatic bringing those 2 players in, they brought in a Jet AWPer and they brought in a Sentinel player. Yeah. However, they didn't change their playstyle or their game plan. They forced those players to play the compositions they already had set up. So Durka, who is a Jet AWPer, is playing Sage and Sova as well. He's flexing 3 agents, even though he is a Jet AWPer. Whereas Magnum, who's only ever played Cypher really and a little bit of Killjoy, is now playing Skye because Fnatic are like, hey, we're bringing you in not because like we're not trying to shoehorn whatever you're doing. We're trying to sort of like make you fit into our team.
Yeah, fit
that
the
makes
mold.
sense to me. Whereas like Brax, it just felt like they couldn't stand the thought of Brax being a free agent and them not having their hands in the pie. I think it's actually a little bit unhealthy from my point of view. It just makes no sense, and it clearly showed from the results as well.
Yeah, it's a weird. It's gonna be a weird period in Brax's story. I think he had just, I mean, very high expectations. I think that some of it comes to do with the fact that he was a very good player in Counter-Strike and was prevented from playing, right? So there is definitely there's a FOMO from the audience's perspective, being like, we want to hold this guy up because we really want to see him play, want to see him get his opportunity. But first T1 don't find the results, and they're doing a lot better without him, unfortunately. Like it's not necessarily his fault, it's just the way it is. And now it's picked up by TSM. Obviously, there's probably pushback from the fan base about, benching Hazed. And, he's not even a mainstay now as well. If you're Brax, you're young, you're in the best gaming years of your life. I don't know if you want to be in this sort of do-si-do of being on benches or crap teams,
I definitely don't think so, right? Because he's been unfortunately vexed out of that opportunity to get that moment of shine in his CS:GO days because of what happened in the past, right? So now that he's given like a second chance, and he even retweeted out, he's like, he even tweeted out the other day, I think he like an interview or something like that. He's like, man, I'm so grateful for the second chance, where he didn't have it before in CS:GO. You want to play for the main roster. You want to be in the main 5 for the starting lineup. So if it didn't work out with T1 and currently in TSM, he's like, we're speculating that he's still like a 6 on the bench kind of thing, but I feel that he joined this team because he's expecting to be on that starting 5 at some point, or at least to be a key player to the team more than just a sub.
All right, let's talk about Brax's previous team, because they looking pretty good. Your mate Yinsu Trippy got fucked on. FaZe Clan are not going to Masters. This is kind of wild in and of itself.
Sad. Literally so sad.
Considering what this team have done in the past, but they go up against a T1 team who, I mean, I don't know if we even talked about this at depth, who, when they brought Automatic on board, who, I mean, I watched this map. I mean, the guy is just, he's fucking good at the game. There's no doubt about it. This is like a marquee matchup for me. These are like two teams that I guess T1 can be in that conversation now, but should be in Masters, and this must be heartbreaking for FaZe.
I just really love the composition again. The double initiator this time from T1, right? Just the setups that they had towards the A site quite often, like the walls to cross, the recon darts in the back of the site, the flashes to initiate. So you don't have that much in terms of like clearage when, sometimes you want to have a reason there to throw the paint shells. This was actually really good enough for T1 to have a very, very strong attacker side and still hold a good defense too on these retakes because of the abilities that you have. I think this looked pretty good as a map. Overall, I mean, you look at the second map, you don't even want to talk about Bind. Bind was a fucking shit show. They lost
13-1?
13-1, where unfortunately Curry was like 0-9 or some shit like that, because he was basically trying to hold showers. I would assume, if I'm not mistaken, it was like a Heretics matchup in Ascent, or you had like a Viper playing inside showers, and they were using abilities quite well in terms of like pulling up the wall. Once the poison's down, put a snake bite on the ground. Once the snake bite is down, your poison's back, then you delay with the wall or a poison cloud, then more. So you could actually waste the clock down quite often, like very well. But Curry wasn't managing his abilities that well for Viper to control those sewers, and they were just getting rocked on shower side control. And they never wanted to adapt to that. So they put like Spider on the B side as a Phoenix, and he never rotated over to say, look, if they're going to pressure that much, they're going to flash across for FaZe, let's try to flash back and fight back if we can't hold it with Curry. So turn that page and focus on Split. And Split for me was a very interesting one too. I mean, Split, FaZe always bans that map. Somehow they left it in. T1 I don't think is a map that they're comfortable with either. And they're like, okay, well, we're both bad at the map. Let's just play the map. That's the way that I see it. But I did like what I saw in the end. It looked pretty telegraphed, in my opinion, for T1, but it was still good enough to play the mind games for FaZe. Because of a FaZe that wants to play very aggressively and schmeeg on a map like Split, for example, where we didn't see that much, by the way, from FaZe, right? There wasn't that much aggression or schmeeging from that series, but except for like A-side Icebox on defense. But I feel this map they wanted to do a bit more. But the slow pacing of T1 and playing super far back was like the demise of how FaZe was like in their own heads of like, how many times can we rotate? What can we do? What should we do? Like, look at this right now. They're doing a great job on defense, but at the same time, when you're looking at T1 on the attack, it came down to 10-second plants. Every time, 10 fucking second plants. And they actually wander around from numbers because they're rotating through ropes all the time. So they're doing around the world strats pretty much for all of these rounds, but it works. It works against FaZe. Let's see if it works against others.
This team is banning. I mean, FaZe are banning Haven now. I mean, before, I remember we were VOD reviewing them. They played that like aggressive, like long A extremely push with Mart and with Corey. Why they? Because this is why Split happened, right? FaZe were actually banning Split and playing Icebox and also wanting to play Haven. So what's going on? This team has changed. Something's happened recently.
Yeah, I feel that I know that when we had an interview with him, like in like the VCTs, he's like, oh, we want to kind of just play our own map and play our own game. But I kind of feel that like FaZe wants to ban Haven versus T1 themselves, because T1 is actually very good on that map too. I think they've put some good matches versus 100 Thieves on that one. Their A control side with the Sova is really good too. Maybe during practice and scrims, there's something that they have for T1 that's like, okay, well, we don't have an answer for right now for FaZe. And FaZe is probably in a reconstruction zone, right? Where technically on that map, you had one time where it was Zachary playing as a breach, no Cypher. And then they bring the Cypher in, and you put Corey onto the breach. And I feel that maybe because of that, they're like testing things over where they would feel confident that they could still beat T1 on Split, so that it could maybe save those type of strategies going into close qualifiers, but unfortunately it bit them in the ass.
Yeah, I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that they lost to Sentinels on that map twice in Masters, and just
possibly
just didn't want to play it because they've been retooling it recently. But I mean, I'm doing the NA analyst thing here, but they've lost to Team Basilisk in version 1 consecutively on that map, and they've tried different things each time, right? They tried bringing the Rainer back in, the Rainer Jet, and then they again, I mean, well, no, there's no Astra play on record for them on this particular map yet, because they've since she's been in the mix.
There's a team called Team Basilisk, like in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That's sick.
It's a creature. I mean,
I love that.
They're creatures of legend, I guess.
Oh
May as well.
my
It's like
God.
being Team Dragon or something like that, or Team
That's
Dragon.
nearly as good as that Korean team called I Need a Girlfriend, and one of their players is called Climax. That's gotta be the best. That's gotta be the best thing of all time. I need them to make it through. Like I need them to make it
that
further.
Would be, God, I can only imagine. NA casters love dicing with that kind of death as well. I've noticed that they really quite enjoyed that. All right, so FaZe Clan. I mean, this is pretty tough for them. I mean, we can go on at length, but I feel like they stopped playing aggressively on defenses. They stopped trying to take early round fights, and it hurts them against teams that play fast. They look shit when they're playing retake. Sorry.
I was gonna say it's just between, because like they were aggressive on Icebox, for example, with Jet and with Baby Bay and with Corey on Icebox, but other rounds where they're just trying to push and get information. When you're playing a team that's really slow, actually, T1's always holding towards spawn. That's where they got kind of like punished too, of like they can't gain map control. It's not that they were pushing and getting punished on fights. They were just pushing and not getting information.
All right. Well, we will. We'll have to check back and see how things go for FaZe in the future. But for now, they won't be in Masters. Let's have a look at the closed qualifiers, right? Because this was open qualifiers done. So falling out already is obviously pretty bad. But we're stacked with pretty sick teams. We got C9 Blue, who have just undergone a ton of changes, going up against a T1 that's going from strength to strength. So I mean, God bless Cloud9. Really, this is a tough job for you. BBG and NRG, I mean, seems to be the one that stands out to me. Also, Anbox has also made their way back into that top echelon of teams, Vansilli. Like, give me a sweeping sort of statement across this bracket.
This is going to be pretty fun. I think T1 right now, they have a strong chance now to play against potentially Sentinels, with Cloud9 Blue going through all these recent roster changes. Although Floppy has been playing for a bit before they actually announced him, right? So they're not in unfamiliar territory for Floppy. I don't think Zeppa's playing right now too. So you're still gonna have Mitch. So they still could put up a good fight against T1. What I like though is the Immortals and TSM. TSM has a chance to get a revenge match versus Immortals. If they're going to continue to look good like they did versus Gen G, this will be a very good game. Where I believe overall though, I might have a Sentinels and TSM in the finals. I think Built by Gamers will lose to NRG. Will be able to beat, I think, Immortals, or is it Cloud9, either or. I think it's going to be pretty one-sided in the end. I don't think we're going to see that many upsets.
I mean, you guys have a double elim. Like, what is this? This is completely new to me. Like, what happens here?
Yeah, that's
you mean
that's
they
actually
play
crazy.
again
when
they lose?
You don't go home
What?
straight away. I know.
They're not out yet? They
What
can still
is
go
this?
to Iceland?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so envious. I think the double elim makes it more interesting in terms of like which teams do end up making it, because you never know. You could bomb out the first round and then make it all the way through the losers bracket and still make it.
XSET wouldn't be in Challengers finals if not for double elimination. You know what I mean? They wouldn't have had this sick run through the lower bracket and just like showed us like a ton more depth to them. So I don't think anyone needs to be convinced that double elimination. Well, okay, maybe the people that are running things in Europe do, but everyone else I think seems to know that that's sort of where it's at. Let's have a look at who the Masters qualifications so far, right? Because a lot of regions still have to have their Challengers finals, right? But these will be the teams in contention, right? You'll notice that EMEA is the only region with the Challengers finals that's set. They get 2 slots. So this is a good little reference, because you look at the slots and then you look at the teams and you look back at the slots and then you realize, holy fuck, Korea is only sending 1 team. You know what I mean? Or you know, for example, EMEA, there could be 2 fucking a CIS and a Turkish team going. You know what I mean? That's what's kind of sort of wild there. But this is what we're looking at so far. And this will give us an idea of who's being sent over. I think obviously Vision Strikers, you don't see Vision Strikers there in the Korean thing, and this was explained to me beforehand. They obviously still have 1 more Challengers to play, and Vision Strikers lost to F4Q. So
they got to beat Climax. They actually they're playing against Climax. Yeah. They got to beat Climax.
How will they overcome Climax? You know,
man.
Really. I mean, I know Seth. I guarantee he's been playing with that and having a lot of fun with the Climax's name there. So I'm quite sure. Trust me, those opportunities aren't going begging, ladies and gentlemen. That is absolutely happening. So yeah, that's a good little indicator there. So obviously we still need to see our second Challengers in NA, for example. That's probably, I think that's taken from Liquipedia. So that's a good reference, because I saw a fucked up flowchart today on
Reddit.
Twitter. It was on Reddit, yeah. And it was like, it was interesting. It was someone's attempt at using a mind map to graphically indicate how teams would sort of qualify. It encompassed the entire process so far, and it made you realize, first of all, the naming conventions really don't lend themselves to readability. But secondly, this is, and I'll finish off, by saying this is a truly global endeavor. You know what I mean? I'm getting full screen in 480p. That's how you know I'm the host of the show, by the way. That's how you know that I'm fucking making the back here. But yeah, like it is wild to me to see just how many regions are being tied into this and just how many teams have had a chance to qualify. So as nutty as the naming convention is and how confusing this can be sometimes, it is complex. It has to be complex to get all these regions playing together. I do think it's worth commending Riot and everyone that's been involved in the process in actually being in a position to make this happen. I think that's very impressive. And the pursuit of global competition in esports, for me, is what I consider one of the highest virtues that we can aspire to. So yes, I pat on the back to everybody involved. I can't wait till Reykjavik. That's going to be sick. Vans, you okay, man?
Why is Vansilli just disappeared? Oh.
I just hid in my chair. My food got here.
Oh.
All right. Well, that is.
I guess on that note, yeah.
Yeah.
How good this is.
All right. What is it? What do you got? What is that?
Mukbang. Oh my god, we should do a mukbang.
This fucking guy is supposed to be on a diet.
Dude, it's Vietnamese food. It's so healthy.
Yeah, that is really healthy, to be fair.
Honestly,
with
I love Vietnamese food. I always get the cold rolls with whenever I eat it.
Yeah.
It's fucking incredible. Oh, yeah. Anyway, yeah. We're getting off topic here.
Vietnamese food is healthy. Chat, it is. I mean, Mitch man over in Europe has a Five Guys every show day. Man's
Oh,
got like
yeah.
8 milkshakes down him a week.
Okay, sorry.
This is healthy.
Esports commentators, it is part of your job to stay in relative shape. Okay, let's just try and set a good example for people. All right. Oh shit. I mean, speaking of which, but we never got to talk about this. But shut up, Mitch. Fucking hell. Leave me it out the bin.
To be fair, every time Pansy orders takeaway, she's torturing the delivery guy because the guy has to walk up 8 flights of stairs just to deliver her a pizza. There's no lift in her building.
Yes,
So
that's
she's torturing people by getting fed.
You're still in that same place, aren't you, Lauren? Yeah, that's a fucking nightmare. I'm telling you. In fairness, I lived the most unhealthy years of my life in the same city as Lauren, frequently taking part in whatever ridiculousness that she was doing, whether it was in terms of drinking or eating. So yeah, I can't pretend I'm exempt from that one. The good old days in Cologne. Speaking of good old days, we are going to spend some time now to celebrate our 1-year anniversary, and to do that, we need to jettison Yinsu because we were running out of boxes to sort of fit people in. Thanks to you for joining us, though, Yinsu. It's been a pleasure. We have to get you back again real soon.
Thanks, Yinsu.
I mean, I would do anything for Pansy, so this is for Pansy, y'all. Yeah, thank you for having me, and we can argue about who's better next time. But Pansy will fight EU's corn anyway. I know she will.
Looking to beat you in our bet.
We'll see. We will see.
Yeah, all right. It is going to be a bet. Obviously, today does mark our 1-year anniversary. Can
I leave now?
Yeah, you can
just
leave.
waving.
You literally just leave it. You can just
okay. Bye.
Yeah, bye. All right, now we get frozen Yinsu for a little bit. Yeah, so this is kind of cool. This is going to be a less strict part of the show, I think. Basically, what we're doing right now is because we're going to be pumping a couple of guests back into the show. Oh yeah, hey, mate, here's trouble.
I love it.
We have Lauren. I think we're working on. Here we go. We go. We have Lauren and Moses. Hey guys, welcome back. Obviously, the originals here for Valoranting. What's good?
Hi.
I assume you can hear me.
Moses, you're muted, big fella. Muted.
We'll get it.
Too old, man.
Get it.
We can't work it out. It's too difficult.
Maybe he does work. He's just had to be on a Discord.
How do I get back to the internet?
Oh shit! It's like being a Facebook streamer has just like rendered you incapable of like interacting with other gamers because you're the only one on there. Good to have you here, man. What's going on, Pansy? You've been busy, mate. You've had a bunch of show days, haven't you?
Healthy lifestyle. That's it. Just don't worry about personal life. Just put it all into work until the feelies go away. So yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Yeah, no, same shit choices, mate.
I love the changes you made to the place, though. It's pretty vibey right now when you're broadcasting, right?
Yeah, so, I'm trying to appeal to the Zoomer audience. Apparently, red lights is it. You know, I'm ready to branch out on TikTok. Like I'm there. I'm ready because then I can say things like "sheesh" and they love it. There it is. There it is. You gotta panda real fucking hard. I hate. I'm
looking forward to Lauren's TikTok series where she reviews all the different types of Kosh that you can get.
Fuck, man, don't do that. Don't do
all
that
the cologne.
Don't do it to me, dude. Don't roll it back. Don't roll it back. One year we'll all be in the same city, man. It'll happen.
I gotta hear it.
And then I'm gonna wake up like, oh, I have a kid. I'm in such
you're a grown ass man
I'm like
now.
A dad. I know, it's brutal. All right, we had Moses, I think, looping his audio. I think you're Gucci now. I mean, it's probably just a Go XLR thing. Hey,
good for me.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Moses. What have you been up to since obviously leaving the show? Because you were part of this for the better part of like the 9 months when it kicked off, man.
Oh, try. There we go.
It's been a minute.
Right.
It has been a minute. It has been a minute. So I mean, the number one changes I've noticed, obviously,
right, hold on, Moses. Yeah, unfortunately, you're still not coming through. Oh no, you're here. Sorry, I've interrupted you for no reason.
It's okay.
You're coming.
It's all
through.
right. I'm doing something different. I moved. I'm not sure if you can tell by the sliver of camera I have here. I used to have a bigger camera back when I was the host, you see, but not there we go. I appreciate that. Much better. Thank you. This is the Valoranting I remember, where I just go to the
Just a solo
talk
shot.
about myself
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
little while. So anyway, I personally have been busy. I'm now in a luxury apartment, as you can see behind me. I've got many
luxurious.
Jesus.
But honestly, man, watching. Okay, go back. You're making me uncomfortable now. Go back. Daniel, we've been over this.
See, now this is the they're used to the duration that they give to me, because I just take that space up and I just fucking fill the corners and I sit there for 2 minutes talking shit.
It's been crazy, man. Like the changes that have. I mean, I think the biggest one for me is that obviously T1. You know, they've gone through their struggles. That was a big storyline when I was hosting the show, and watching them come to terms with the fact that their team just wasn't going to be the superstars that they thought they would. Obviously, another big change. Sinatra's Google results look a lot different than they used to as well. So, all right. Well, anyway, thank you guys for having me on. I'll see you
guys.
on the way.
Oh man, I missed you, Derek. I missed you.
Oh,
Holy shit!
Hey, let's get this rolling. We got some videos we can roll back over. We can just talk some shit over, because I know because there's no real substance to Valoranting. Never has been, because we're all vacuous individuals. But we talk about skins on this show. We love talking about skins. Here's a video of all the skins. Look at Glitch Pop. That shit's fire.
Still haven't bought a single skin, dude.
Me
Still
neither.
not bought a single one.
Really?
Actually, that's not true.
Yep. Nope. I literally do not buy skins in this game. I look. I don't do it. I don't do it to myself.
Is it because it throws you off when you're gaming, or you're just like, I'm not gonna spend money?
If I can't resell that shit, it ain't happening. I did that damage in CS, man. I can't be doing this here.
I did that damage in CS, and I sold 6 skins for like $6,000, like stickers. The 2013 Katowice.
Yeah.
Back before all the.
Yeah, I had a Hollow
exploded.
Titan sticker, I think. Yeah,
Like
that's
I
all.
still
like the
have it.
Titan.
Yeah,
You
I have a
Titan.
Hollow Titan and a Hollow LDLC on my fucking stainless steel fucking USB.
Oh yes.
So I think
French
altogether
CS.
was like 19,000, and now it's like fucking 100. Anyways, I spent 1,300 on this game, and I can't do anything with it but stare at the skins.
It looks
which,
good though.
Yeah, it's not a complaint. I frag better with them.
I mean,
I don't know, man. The new skin, like some of these skins, I see the trailers, like that one that was like the cracked out rabbit, whatever.
Cracked out rabbit skin.
I can't get behind this.
They need some naming, dude. Any titles, they've got to come to you. Cracked out rabbit skin. What is this one? Is there a title for this?
Christmas jail.
Christmas jail.
If you're inside this phantom, you live a Christmas wonderland forever. You kids
Really
never
quickly.
age, your parents never die, nothing ever happens.
While we have a chance, I'm going to do this because I've been fucking told to this like 7 times by the producer who've just straight up not done it. Speaking of skins, this is a good time to do it. We're actually giving away 4 $25 Riot gift cards for USA and Canada residents only. Get fucked
my
Europe,
God.
by the way. So type ranting in the chat to get into the draw for that.
What does
fucking hell.
$25 get you?
Yeah, I mean, it gets you
One skin.
color. Yeah.
It gets us one skin.
Here's the recycled materials knife for you. There you go. That's your $25. Made out of cardboard, some bits of other skins we shelved.
Here's the fucking spline collection from you. I mean, this one, it's weird. It's fucking weird though. Wardell loves using the fucking spline operator. But all right, guys, let's go around. What do you think the worst skins that we've seen released?
Oh fuck!
Can you scroll back up again? The one with the one that looks like it was growing out of a tree root. Op.
Yeah, that was the spline one.
Oh, is that
Looks
what
like
it
some
is?
fucking alien exoskeleton shit. I don't know. It makes me kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, it looks
let's
like
touch it.
something you would see on the dark eggs list. I don't know about that.
Where we all live, of course.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
casual
yes.
browsing, dude.
Listen, sometimes you gotta go on Craigslist and type in weird shit into the search bar. I mean, like, there's no one else.
I mean,
do
I've
that?
done it. I've
Okay.
done it.
All right.
Like, I love
I've
the
never
one
done
where
it.
it's like you almost miss someone and they post like, maybe we should meet up again.
Oh,
cashier at like,
Lost
random
connections.
spot.
I used to look
Ooh,
at that one. I didn't know that was
Dude,
dark.
that's mad.
I could be the bald white guy. I could be that. Wait a second. I was gonna find an entry that's looking for a bald white guy. So it's like, yeah, I'm looking for the dark, mysterious guy on the train that looked like he had his life together.
It's fucked up. I don't like this one. I actually didn't like the ones where it just on the gun it's like unstoppable, and then you get fucking running headshot by a Vandal player. You know,
Like Frenzy or something.
It just reminds me of those like cheesy hashtags like people I hate put on like Instagram. You know what I mean? Like hashtag grind, hashtag desire, it's just
Hashtag
like, fuck off,
blockchain.
dude.
Yeah.
Literally.
BitConnect.
No.
All right, I guess I need to
No.
change my tagging ways on Instagram when I'm
Sorry,
going
dude.
to the gym.
I'm sorry.
I-
I'm sorry.
I mean,
Can't deal with it.
these anime ones were chill, but you know, I really wish there was like a more expanded Sovereign collection, because I don't know if you guys can tell, but I fucking love that shit. They're fucking like, I don't know, look like you got to sprout wings and fucking Archangel Michael's gonna come
Yeah,
down
yeah.
and
What are
fucking
the like
knight you with his
what are the World War
schlong or
II
something.
ones?
Mercy
What are
made it.
those like old ones that came out? It looked like they were like World War II guns.
yeah,
That
look
looks
at
Oh,
so
Same
yeah,
cool.
Battalion.
yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
ones.
dude. I swear that just like shows your age. I see like Mixwell playing with it. I'm like, yes,
Yep.
another
Yeah.
oldie.
We
Good
only
shit,
got
good shit.
B-roll of all the shitty skins. Can we see some of the ones you guys are talking about? Like all I saw.
What, you don't like Uwu Cypher, daddy?
Yeah, exactly. Like
That was the
Milady.
best
That's
one,
all.
man.
That's the Milady.
He's straight
skin
up
right there.
milady. It is tipping fedoras, man.
Couldn't help but notice that I hacked into your phone while you were looking the other way.
Oh fuck! So all you can hear is like Numa just playing on like in the background. It's like when really white people they edit themselves. They get like Instagram filters to make them look like anime rosy cheeks,
Oh,
but it doesn't
no.
change.
Oh my God,
the
is there a
fact they're
filter
still
for
like, oh
Oh,
fuck yeah, baby!
Uh-oh.
I don't,
Get
think,
in
I don't
there.
think there's a filter alive that could make me look cool again. I'm just trying to. Is it? I don't, so what is it? What is the deal? Is we getting a lot of anime skins? Is that what the? Is
Yeah,
that
I mean,
the,
have you noticed, Derek, that like all the good players have anime profile pictures? It's
It's
definitely
true.
targeted.
That's how it
targeted
changed. That's how
marketing.
it changed, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. Lauren, if you could have an anime profile picture, who would it be?
I
Oh,
already
man,
have
she's got
anime
the
profile
prestige,
pictures
yo.
on Steam, dude. I already do
Oh,
this
so-
shit on Steam, like, cause people get mad about it. Like, the worse the like display picture is, the better you're gonna play, cause they're mad about it.
Mine is
like,
Goku, to be fair. Yeah.
all of
on Steam.
Nice.
Lauren's profile pictures are Chevelle cover art.
Fuck off.
No,
Alright,
if-
I'll grow up one day, dude. Fuck you.
Listen, if Lauren was an anime character, it'd be Armstrong from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
It's
I
a
mean,
good
like
choice,
the
dude.
big
It's a
sister
good
that fucks
choice. I'll
shit
take
up.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take
Having
that, I'll
watched a
take
lot
that.
of anime, I agree.
Okay, fair enough.
I too
you know
know
what?
this.
One of
I
the, I think
tried.
I was a look at the fucking. This is I think April Fool's like or whatever it was, like the tiny axe, or was it a glitch? I don't know. But I remember when I came on the
I
show
love
when you
Tiny
were still
Knife.
hosting it, Derek, and we
Tiny
were
Axe.
talking about.
Tiny Axe. I
I remember
remember.
Tiny Axe. Tiny Axe was a glitch for the first time when it came out.
Yeah, that should have been a skin. That was easily the best skin you could have had for the.
You could just fucking make everything tiny, and I think you would.
It would be
you would make a
hilarious.
killing.
Yeah.
It's not. It's never not funny. Look at how small it is. That's how funny it is.
I came on last year. We were talking about the dragon skins. I'm pretty sure someone talked
Yeah.
about like
yeah.
saying that using the Elder Flame skins looks like you're giving
Oh, yeah.
the gun a prostate exam.
Why do you think
Like,
it's firing? Why do you think it's
That was
firing?
definitely. That's right. Oh yeah, I spit my biggest fire on broadcast when someone's fisting me. Absolutely.
Bro, it's just a finger. You don't need the whole fist. Fucking helmet, you animal.
You got to work your way up, man. You got. It's going full fisting. You can't be doing that.
I
Oh
mean-
my god.
We had some incredible memes over this last year as well of Valoranting. I mean, outside of the skins, I mean, you know, obviously T1 was such a thing, obviously, sort of early on in the piece as well. But I think we have, yeah. I mean, this is early ones. Derek, you got to tell me about some of these early memes before I came on the show.
This one I don't remember. I do remember what happened. I'm pretty sure this was Wardell being mad about a knife
Carrying?
attempt.
Maybe.
Was it a knife attempt? I honestly can't remember. Maybe overtime, forgetting what round it is.
That rings a bell though. I can't remember which one exactly too, but it has
Sabro's
been a while.
ult. Yeah, maybe he ulted a wall by accident or something, or he didn't use his ult before something happened.
Like, what is it? Is this losing? What the? What is this? Like the fucking old logo as well. Yeah.
This is all very contextual. I have no f***ing idea what any of this is.
Oh, this yeah. Flashpoint ran their one Valorant event, and they had a fucking screens in between people to abide by social distancing protocol.
Yes,
That's
true.
Yeah, we had
incredible.
that in Europe. It was solid.
Really?
Yep.
This is back when Dignitas were good.
They're in
I
the
guess.
mix. Yeah.
So I guess
Psalms
this is,
out
I guess
there?
this is when the last time that Dignitas won a couple of games, which at least got to be at least a year ago.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's gotta
it was
be.
summertime.
It's gotta be.
It was like
Is
when they
Dignitas
finally
still a
got picked
team?
up by from homeless to Dignitas because they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
doing good as homeless, and then suddenly they got into
Oh.
Power Flash Sense and it didn't work out. And this,
Oh right,
August 2,
G2.
2020.
yeah.
Yeah,
Do you remember
G2.
G2? Damn.
Holy.
Flexing in August of last year?
Shit.
3 months after the game. Well, I guess they had won everything at that point, right? So
They
Yeah.
were. This is more recently. I don't know if you saw this one here. Like, I think Dapper posted a gym selfie. He looks pretty decent shape.
is that Dapper
Trippy's
actually?
just-
No, that's
No, that's
Trippy there,
Trippy.
right? Yeah, that's
Okay,
Trippy
I was
there.
gonna say there's no fucking way.
He's got like 22 inch biceps. Like, he's literally. But Dapper looks all right. You know what I mean? Like, he looks pretty. He's in shape, no doubt about it. But Trippy
That's
just
the
posted
face
his.
fitness coach. That's his whole job is to be ripped.
No,
for
he's
social
just
media.
the fucking coach. He's just the coach.
Oh, is okay. I assume by Coach
Literally,
Trippy that would be
baby-based
the
friends all look like they're from Geordie Shore or Jersey Shore. It doesn't really fucking matter where. Like,
Geordie,
he
yeah.
literally
Man.
said in an interview about Trippy, he's like, oh, you know, I mean, I like to hang out. You know, the kind of people I like to hang out with. And there's a photo of this fucking Trippy who has like a jaw that's chiseled like the aesthetics guy in the fucking sepia black and white photo. Like, that's just. It's ridiculous. Very quickly, another $25 gift card going out in chat. The keyword is 1 year, all one word, ONEYEAR. Get that in the chat. Give you some chance to win a $25 gift card for US and Canada only. This is also more recently as well because Vision Strike is obviously spackled DWG, Damn One Gaming's team. You like the word? Spackled?
Spackled. Yep.
Spackled.
Okay, more G2
Oh.
memes. I
Yeah, that
remember this.
changed.
Oh, fish one,
Yeah,
two,
more
three.
G2
That's
memes.
old.
Ancient. Dude, they let
This is the representation. Look, we have a Prodigy logo in there. What else do we have in there? What was the
No
fox?
Pinky.
No Pinky?
Yeah, no
yeah,
Pinky.
they're in their bonk. I mean, Jesus.
But
This
think
might
about
as
this.
well
The
be.
game,
This might be a
Fish
bunch of
1, 2, 3.
graveyards now.
yeah,
Little tombstones.
the game came
Oh.
out a year ago, and these memes came out like summertime. So it shows how much a game has changed when like within the
Yep.
fucking year itself. There's like
Yeah, before
changed a lot.
Heretics,
Mad.
way before
I've been
Summon
coming to terms with
FC,
the
you
fact
were
that
really.
memes change every week, and I just can't keep up anymore.
That's true.
We're
That's
old,
true.
dude. You got to accept it.
I need an
fine.
RSS feed for new memes. Anyone have one of those? Anyone remember what an RSS feed is? It's all right. Some jokes are good, some aren't.
They don't all work, bud. They don't all work.
Fuck it,
Remember-
that's techie for me. Look at this. Look at this shit talk here. This is how long ago was it? This was a while back, I think. This is what I was
Just
when Yinsu was
Yinsu
doing
and
some-
drama, man. She loves a bit of it. She can't help herself.
Yeah, it's just
like
a
straight in.
smiling
She's
face,
ready,
like,
dude.
oh.
She knows. She's like, here comes that Reddit thread. I've done it again.
I mean, she definitely does tweet that, being like, "Yo, Sabrosa, say something fucking spicy." To be fair, EU Valorant, I don't know, Pansy. I don't know what you think about this. They seem to be a little behind on the banter game. I don't know what your thoughts. Like, it just seems to.
They're
I
too
mean, what
nice.
is it? Fucking artist and
Yeah.
Nelzinho, and that's it, right?
It's because
I mean,
English is their
thing
second
is-
language. They
I
can't be
mean,
jerks. in their first-
honestly, it's brutal though. It's because it's like UKCS. You know what I mean? Like the best we got out here is like old UKCS players who've probably been browbeaten for the last like 20 years. Like, what sort of like arrogance can they have, man? Like, come the fuck on, give them a
The
chance,
rattlesnake
dude.
crew. Yeah.
Literally, it's like fucking Weber's still around, man. Like, how are you gonna? You can't be talking shit at this point. But I mean, if it gets unleashed, it's pretty solid. We'll see. I mean, G2 was setting the trend, but now look at us reviewing their shitty memes. Just like, look at them not winning anymore. You know?
Yep.
What, Pansy, do you think that gamers like lose their ability to trash talk the longer they stay active in esports? Do you think that they know so many people that it's no
Or is it
longer
the-
safe
or
to
is it
trash
the
talk literally anyone?
Ah.
Maybe that's reason as to why. But like,
Maybe,
I've been
yeah.
around the block too many times. So like, what's wrong with me? Am I just thick?
Oh
and
no,
not
casters
learned?
different.
Like,
Casters are different.
it's
You know,
different. The
that's
longer we're here,
different.
the worse we get.
Yeah,
Fuck me.
exactly.
More
Like
and
the
more
more
jaded.
more jaded and angry.
Okay.
Just like every time I don't get this fucking job, I'm taking it out on the players. Every single
Yeah,
time.
I got pulled up on air. I won't give the. I got pulled up on air last year in the Overwatch League for like I roasted another caster on
you
air.
do.
Another
You
Overwatch
like
League
that?
caster.
Yeah,
As you do.
I had the
shit.
I had the PR email like,
You did,
this is a
dude.
problem.
Listen,
I fucking went way
Look,
too far.
I'm,
Like,
look,
I'm
look,
from
look,
the-
look, look. I'm not naming names. Right? I just know that at one point someone received feedback about a copy pasta spam, right? Like a negative, like you shouldn't be doing this. It's not, it's not appropriate. Like it's copy pasta, bro. Like chill out, dude. It's not even flame. Like, yeah, people are a little soft these days, man. People are a little soft.
Soft, very soft.
Maybe it's because of my background and training, because like literally the caster office at ESL was just like a fucking circus.
It was
and every time we got on
fucking-
air, we just, you know what my best part was? I'm bringing this up. My best part was watching Pansy and D-Man have an argument on stream about who did the fucking laundry.
Oh my god, what
It was
a
literally
throwback.
so. Listen, I don't want to delve too much into. I don't delve too much into personal life, right? I don't
No
do that.
doubt,
But
no
it was,
doubt. This is a
it
great
was
one,
an
though. I'm glad Liz on this one. I've got some.
It was
Why
an
am I just
ESL.
getting fuck.
It was an ESL Pro League match, and obviously it had been, some time after, Lauren and me had separated. But they're still casting together because fucking hell, what are you gonna do? You're both casters, and I'm sat in the production room with Joe Miller. And he has seen them start fucking going at each other on their desk about shit that has nothing to do.
Disturbance regarding laundry on broadcast is not a playbook you have to open a lot. It's just like, wait a second, hold
whoever
on.
didn't put away their laundry or whatever, like in their relationship.
Just like the fucking dishes, honestly. Just like the fucking dishes. What a great play. But honestly, your bullshit is starting to tire me out. That's honestly.
It was like, I'm sat in the fucking production room with Joe, and he's looked at me and he's like, oh fuck.
Bro, the shit that went on, man, like you could go through a Gamescom and just have a book worth of bullshit, dude. Like we're just so scuffed. Like casters are just so scuffed at this point. Like players I think are still like coming to terms with the scuffness, but fuck me, we've been through the ringer, man. Like as said, like one wargaming after party and then the state of us the next day. Oh, Mitch. There is some good pictures of you, bud. Like there's
no,
surely
not.
I can't even bring it up on air, dude. I cannot bring it up on air. Like
every WhatsApp is just like every WhatsApp event group is just like one horrible photo of each other after another. Just like, look where I found you sleeping in the green room, motherfucker.
Oh, mate,
oh, dude, that's Katowice's, man. Like we've had casters not turn up. Like it was a finals and some shit, and we're getting calls at like 8 a.m. We're not even meant to be on until like 2, and like, oh yeah, someone's just not turned up. Can you get the fuck in here? We're like,
yeah.
All
Where
right.
the hell is Santa Kiss?
We're all like
joined some crazy
half-cut.
party out in Poland.
I mean,
someone's asleep on the floor, dude. Like it's
okay. I mean, I was in Sydney with him, and yeah, he definitely liked his extracurriculars while he was working. That's for sure.
You guys
Man,
want to talk about Aidsy getting? Do you want to talk about PUBG stuff? Aidsy getting kidnapped by hookers? That's a good one. I like that one.
Oh
my.
I mean,
this is why I need
PUBG player.
This
PUBG player, man. Him and Andy Pyro go out and have a good time. Where they were in Poland too, weren't they? In Katowice, was that not where it was before?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. So him and Andy Pyro go out and they find this strip club. And Andy Pyro, being the degenerate that he is, obviously knows his way around a strip club and is just like, yeah, everyone, but he's paying for the bill. So he keeps like getting lap dances, this, that, and the other thing. Next thing you know, it's, midnight or whatever, and it's time to pay the bill. Andy Pyro, of course, is left with like 3 different strippers and is like off in some other bar. And here's just some poor young first-time esports player named Aidsy who's just like left in this Polish strip club, putting an enormous bill. And of course, he's got no money. So now these guys, like the angry, mean strippers and the manager have got this guy like cornered and they're like, give us all your money. He's like gave him the debit card and it was insane.
Oh, that's wild. That's wild. All right.
Poor guy.
The next keyword in chat is casters, by the way. $25 gift card.
For your local strip club. Get it while it's there.
Yeah.
Last one will be strippers.
I have to. Oh God, I hope. Listen. We have to follow the run of show here as well. So, I mean, what is this? What is this segment? This is we're talking about the top Reddit abilities. I don't know if this was like, did we like try and?
I don't have the wrong.
It's not. Right. So, this was
it's a classic.
this initial tweet. I mean, this is so relevant now, right? This is Nicola, like Bossmang. Yeah, Bossmang Sasuke. Yeah. He's saying in Project A, shooting matters. You don't kill with abilities. The abilities create tactical opportunities to say, okay, so. Here on, what are our thoughts?
Solid, fucking solid.
Probably don't tweet your whole game's vision in one tweet. That's what I would say.
Don't commit, bro. You committed too hard.
Way too early.
It turned into a great just copy pasta meme. You know what I mean? Like I love that shit. Like just embrace it. The absolute fuckery.
The blast pack getting a quad kill.
Oh yeah. Good times.
This is. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a montage of kills. Yeah, I mean, we definitely had different expectations. I think. I mean, Counter-Strike had utility. We'd seen like people get burned down by mollies on like rushing B on
when they weren't there before. Yeah.
This is listen. I'm used to games being warped by abilities. I'm just numb to it at this point. But did you guys expect us to be here now, especially in the Viper meta, the Viper Astra meta?
Wait, there's a Viper meta now?
Oh, she's fucked, man.
You
take 50 damage the second you walk through her
any
stuff.
poison. Yeah, any poison thing.
She's chunky, dude.
We waited for the Viper meta for every time they patched her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
it was just this constant conversation of like theoretically she is great, it will happen one day, and then it took a couple of patches. I don't know, like I honestly don't give that much of a fuck. Like people lean into this because it's a fucking meme, but I honestly don't care. Like the game's still pretty balanced. It hasn't driven me
Yeah.
mad just yet.
Yeah.
I literally could not care less. Like it doesn't fucking bother me. Like yeah,
No.
if it goes to the extremes, then sure, but I
Even
couldn't
even
care
if it
less,
looks
man.
chaotic, it still looks pretty good. Like in the
Yeah,
game,
it's
when
still
you're playing, so,
followable. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, keeps it fresh at the very least here as well. And like, we haven't really been stuck in any sort of one meta for too long. You know, God, remember, let's not forget like what the Tech 9 meta did in Counter Strike,
Yeah.
or
Dude,
how,
the
like,
frenzy's coming
the
out strong,
CZ
man. Like
and-
people have
Yeah.
worked it. People have worked out how fucking OP that is. You've literally got like, the raid boss stuff now where they're on the light armor, they've got the frenzies, like Yampi's on that. Like it's the same shit. Like, people just work it out eventually, right? It starts off like, oh, this is the meta, we're gonna play it like CS, and then people go, actually no, this is broken as hell. Let me just run this for a bit, and it evolves. And yeah, it's not been stuck, which is good, right? It's
Mhm.
it's kind of kept moving, which is decent.
That's
That
I think that
isn't
speaks
chat.
to the game balance.
Yeah.
Because most times people are going to latch on to a meta and just grind it, and if you're coming from
Nonstop.
Counter Strike, that means years. So
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, like
was definitely
like the coach bug, like the spectator bug.
yeah, that meta was pretty sick.
I retire him as a player, dude.
that
That's
was a
fine.
fun meta. I love the cheating metas. That's always a good time.
What do you guys think about this? Came up in chat as well. What do you think about the fact that you actually can't really turn flashes? You know what I mean? Like you can't.
I think it's a bit shit. Like honestly, I actually don't like it too much. Like the new Sky meta, I guess you could call it. Especially with like Soulcast being such a proponent of those like fake flashes, right? But I think that you should be able to turn them easier. Like genuinely, I don't think it's a good thing that they're super strong like that. So I'd like it a little bit tuned up, maybe refined a bit. So it'll probably happen if it keeps getting like overly done and people get more and more annoyed by it.
Mm.
Now, what's in this run of show here? What's about Valorant or Vanguard? Let's just bring these graphics up here because we got I don't know what they always are.
Oh, the ranking of Valorant.
You remember the
Yeah.
ranking system?
Mm-hmm.
Why was that a thing?
Yeah, calling Valorant the highest one, I think, was some shit.
Oh yeah, the top ranked Valorant.
my
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was that
It's
was.
like, why would you call the highest ranking Valorant in its game itself? Nah.
It's just some dude. It's some guy from the story department who was just like doing a really good job that day and selling his idea. Be like, imagine, you climb the ranks and you become Valorant. And everyone's like, oh my god, what a great idea. This is not gonna be confusing at all. Ship it. And they just never thought about it again until someone was like, yeah, quick Reddit post about this. This is stupid. Oh my god, it is stupid.
What does fucking what does Valorant even? I mean, this is Vanguard, right? So obviously, kind of
Vanguard.
next gen here, but you can. Yeah, what is this about? It's it's quite invasive though, really, to your PC, isn't it?
Well, I don't think it was invasive to a point where I started smelling hot plastic. My graphics card was running 90 degrees Celsius. I don't have that issue right now, so I don't.
Vanguard disabled my cooling software. My PC. What does that even fucking mean?
That's what I'm saying.
My program that cools my computer. My PC case has very bad airflow, so I have to decrease my GPU performance. It sounds like your computer's filled with underwear and dust, and it's like I'm blaming Vanguard because of it.
It's just like cigarette ash and stuff.
To be fair, I never played Valorant after Vanguard fucked my computer. To be fair. But that is not the reason.
Within that time, that was when you bought a skin, though. At least when you
I did. As soon as it was like, it's like getting access to a slot machine. Just as soon as I get anywhere near it, it's just money starts going in.
All right, there's something in this. I don't know what this is. In the runner show, it literally says, "Don't reveal during rehearsal." It's a video, so I'm going to throw to something. I have no fucking idea what it is, but hold on to your hats, motherfuckers. What is this?
Fuck. What's this?
What the fuck?
Who's made this compilation? Whose PowerPoint presentation?
Is there no
Mitch?
audio, or is that just me?
I'm hearing no audio, and maybe that's adding
Okay.
to it. It's just
Uber
a
shirts.
compilation of Mitch in shirts.
Oh, Beetlejuice. I love the Beetlejuice look.
That's a good one. That's a strong one. Ooh, flowery. Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
Grandma's
but paisley.
couch.
No, it's a fucking map. I'm Mr. Worldwide, literally.
The half of his kimono.
I love
So
it.
this is, oh god, look at that fucking second chin in the koi days. That's just okay. So all right, Yeah, okay. What do you fucking want me to wear? What am I supposed to look? I'm wearing a completely
Are you
normal
getting
shirt today.
critiqued? Is this a critique on your shirts?
Oh,
think so.
apparently. It's
Hey, look,
apparently.
we're not the insecure casters who dig on others for what they decide to wear because we don't have a personality beyond the suit we wear, so it's fine. You wear whatever the fuck you want.
Or the amount of hair you have. Not that I'm salty.
All right. Everybody, shirts in the chat. If you want yourself a $25 gift card, US and Canada only. All right, in fairness, I did my time. I did my apprenticeship at ESL for 3 years wearing pastel blue or pink only underneath a typical black
devastating.
jacket.
blazer,
Yeah.
right?
Yep,
Yeah.
of course.
With
It doesn't
the
quite fit right.
Striped tie. Gotta have a striped tie in there as well.
I've had it for 3 years. It stinks. You smell the pips. It's
It's
fucked up.
rotten.
Because
Sportscaster
sometimes
or fledgling financial analyst. We'll find out.
and they all stink because what happens is sometimes when you're away, the after party is straight after the event because they don't give a fuck about when you finish. They just run out. So you turn up in that jacket. You turn up in that
You
jacket.
go.
You bake the booze in there. You with
It
the
is.
lights, with the show lights.
And 2 weeks later, you're on a water tank show at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday.
I haven't been
probably
back to my home
hungover,
country
and
in
you're
4 months.
fucking
Yep.
wearing that smell. You are wearing that smell. Okay.
This is what I'm
Thank
saying,
you.
dude. We got to talk about all the
Amazing.
gross stuff we have to do as esports casters, like baking in your booze sweat into your jacket for your next podcast.
Dude, it's just like the swamp ass you get as well in those like gaming chairs sitting under studio lights. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Next
man,
segment,
that shit
Lauren's
was rough.
swamp ass.
So you got a compilation of that, or like what's?
I mean, that's Gamescom in a nutshell. It's
Yeah.
always
Oh, yeah.
fucking blazing hot in
Yeah.
Germany during that time of year.
It's like
Lauren, did you-
90,000 people in a 4-foot room.
And like, God forbid you need to go to the toilet because you
Oh,
need
you're
to
fucked.
navigate the
You're
convention hall, avoid people who may notice you. It wasn't an issue for me at the time, but I'm sure it was for some. And then you have to fucking go to the toilet where there's like a lineup for 20 minutes and a bunch of German people that are like mildly drunk because it wouldn't be Germany if you don't just mix
Yep.
beer with everything you do. You know
And
what I
there's
mean?
no age restrictions for alcohol, so it's like, hey, look, another drunk 14-year-old. Great, good to see it. He's got 14 Nintendo bags and he's crying in the bathroom.
I'm getting like flashbacks to Nam through this, dude. This is fucking.
I got stuck in the Nintendo booth. Like it's like a river, like it's like a riptide of people because it was the year that I think oh god, Breath of the Wild was coming out or something like that. I can't remember, but Nintendo had this booth in Gamescom, and I remember we were doing PUBG,
Oh.
and we just like I was trying to cross to go to the other side of the event hall, and I got stuck in this like cyclone of people that were trying to get to the Nintendo booth and get away from the Nintendo booth at the same time. And I was about ready to start chucking children.
Dude, you gotta throw
because
children.
I was
You've got
literally
to.
stuck.
You have to.
I was stuck. I was like, all right, I'm about to Hulk out because I can't get to the
But
bathroom.
it's like
becoming
you're,
an
trying to,
emergency.
you're basically playing Bejeweled with people. Just try and fucking light him up and get a combo. You know what I mean? Knock down as many as you can and get out. All right, listen. We've got a video message here from Veli. So fuck me dead. This is just gonna
Oh,
God knows
God,
what he's got
shit.
to say. So let's hear from our good friend Veli, who couldn't be with us here this week. Let's go.
Oh, wait. My room kind of messy. I didn't make up my bed, so we do this. Whoop! All right, technology. First off, happy fucking 1 year to Valoranting. I love this show with every fucking fiber in my body. You know what it was? Remember when the beta was out and we had to go into a chat room to get a beta key for Valorant? I stumbled upon the show, and it was 3 guys. I think it was 3 guys, and it was Scott and everyone. They were talking Valorant. I really never watched Esports or Counter-Strike, so I knew who they were, but I didn't really know who they were. But I found them interesting and things that they spoke about, so I followed their work, and that led me upon Valoranting, and I watched the show, and I love the show. I remember watching Pansy just like fucking pop off and say things in her own way without even fucking caring what anyone thought about her. And that touched me. So I reached out to them, and I thought the show was special, and I wanted to be a part of it. I really loved it. And, by the grace of God, they reached out to me, and they brought me along on the show. And, oh, boy, was I nervous. Oh, man. But it all turned out well. And at the end of the day, I'm sorry, it's early. It has been a fucking fantastic experience. But also, it's very meaningful to me that we're celebrating this 1 year of Valoranting, because a lot of people don't know. There was a point in time where I was going to quit. I was going to retire from Valorant. And this is before I really did any gigs or anything. I was going through hard times. I went through really bad imposter syndrome, and I thought I wasn't good. I thought the things I said were just fucking stupid and so and so. So I told Jason and them, I said, hey, I'm out the door. I don't think I'm good. I think I'm holding the show back. You guys are better without me, right? And they reassured me. They weren't like, no, you stay. They didn't baby me and shit because, they real as shit. They were like, Veli, we're going to be honest with you. We think you and everyone else on the show are fucking special. Now, whichever way you take that, it's basically up to you what you want to do, but we don't think you should quit. We think you guys are seriously going to make it. And, that meant a lot to me. That type of encouragement from someone that I really don't know like that. This team believed in me, man. So when I get up here every week and I spit out these crazy fucking hot takes, and whether they come true or not, it doesn't matter. I'm having fun, and I want to thank everyone involved in this show. Pansy, shout out to Moses. I fucking miss you, dude. Shout out to Uber, Vansilli, Sideshow, Golden Boy, everyone that's even come on the show as a guest. It has been a blast to sit here with all of you and just cut this shit. And it's in a barbershop talk type of way, which is something that you don't see in other esport titles or shows, right? It's fun. A lot of people from different backgrounds coming together to talk about Valorant, the game that they love in their own way, and people aren't criticized about it. This community is very welcoming, and it's all owed to one group. And you guys are the only ones that fucking matter here. So shout out to the viewers. I love you guys. I miss you guys. I know I've been gone for a while. I've been busy with Rainbow Six, but I'm going to be back soon. But I'm here to say happy 1 year to Valoranting. I'm going to give a special fucking shout out to all production, everyone involved in the scenes, the brains behind the show. Also, the beautiful faces on the show. Uber, Vansilli, I hope you two are fucking crushing it. I know you are. You guys are fucking professionals. And I hope you all have a beautiful fucking day. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to everyone else once again. And yeah, take it easy.
Professional, very
That's-
blessed.
We're here talking about some hookers, some mad after parties, throwing some kids, and Billy's like, I love you guys, you're so sweet. I think that's the perfect example of this.
Yeah.
I can't believe he took it to heart when I told him how shit he was.
I mean, I do not give him a free ride. Like when he comes up with ridiculous opinions, I absolutely hold him accountable for it. But look,
and they come true.
Yeah, exactly. He predicted FaZe Clan to win when we just called him an absolute dickhead, and he ended up being right.
Now we're the dickheads.
Listen, show wouldn't be the same without you, Veli. Obviously, I love to give you shit for the stuff you say, but obviously you're a really important part of it. And I want to say as well to Lauren and Moses as well for the time that you guys spent on the show. Appreciate it. You guys have really helped us build this into something great. It's a lot of fun to be here on a Tuesday, and it's a shame you can't be here no more, but without your support we wouldn't be here, so thank you.
Daniel hasn't been responding to my DMs for weeks, so this is the first time I could get on the show. So I've been trying for months, but they just never respond to me.
I know that's not true. I know that is not true.
Oh shit.
Oh shit. Oh man, you can't hear him. You can't hear him now. He is, but yeah, he's furious. Now I'm quite sure you've been sought after, Moses. Listen, we're over 3 hours here, so I just want to take this opportunity to echo the sentiments we've heard on the show so far. Thank you for a fantastic year of Valoranting. We started from a really humble show. We're still a humble show in many ways. We're definitely rough around the edges. Sometimes we're not PG at all, but we hope that's okay. For the time being and going forward, we don't really plan on changing because we are who we are. Guys, remember you can obviously follow us on Twitter now at Valoranting. That is actually our handle, and Twitter and YouTube.com/Valoranting is where you can find all the VOD. You want to go back and see how insane Pansy and Moses were on the show, you can do that. But for now, that's all for us. Big shout out to Syyko from XSET for joining us on the show. And of course, the lovely Yinsu Collins for giving us some of that EU insight that we often lack on the show. We're back next Tuesday, same time, same bat channel. Thank you guys for joining us in the chat. Thank you, Vansilli, Pansy, Moses. Big shout out to the 1 year Valoranting. Let's do another big year. We'll see you guys next week.
Hell yeah.